Chapter 1359. Chapter 1359. Killing one first. I can't say that I'm optimistic about him. I can only say that Ningyu is special. Ji Hao said as he waved his hand. Although he was optimistic about Ningyu, it wasn't convenient for him to say it out in front of so many people. Neither the Emperor Palace nor the Jin family could afford to offend the Broken Dragon Valley. In the Pellet Formation continent, going against the Jin family and the Emperor Palace wouldn't end well. On the surface, there wasn't much difference between the Broken Dragon Valley and the Jin family, but only a few people knew about the actual situation. Ji Hao was one of the few people who did. Ha ha ha, shameless. With a burst of laughter, the second-grade Earth Sovereign of the Jin clan clenched his fist and punched towards Ningyu. This expert from the Jin family had already reached the pinnacle second-grade sovereign realm. His strength was unfathomable. He was one of the top geniuses in the Jin family. Looks like I don't have to do anything. Seeing the powerful attacks from the Jin clan, Di Chong instantly stopped and the corner of his lips rose. The strength of a second-grade Earth Sovereign isn't something that you can, what? However, before Di Chong could finish his words, his mouth was agape, and his face was filled with disbelief. Crack! When the fist of the pinnacle second-grade Earth Sovereign of the Jin family was a finger away from Ningyu's head, a sudden change occurred. A green branch suddenly flew out from Ningyu's spatial ring and struck the fist of the second-grade Earth Sovereign of the Jin family. A crisp sound resounded. Everyone saw the second-grade Earth Sovereign of the Jin family rapidly retreating as if he had seen a ghost. Where are you going? The most shocking thing was yet to come. The second-grade Earth Sovereign of the Jin family wanted to escape, but Ningyu wouldn't allow that. He stomped his feet on the ground and charged out. He waved the red demonic sword in his hand, and several sword rays flew out, slashing towards the second-grade Earth Sovereign of the Jin family. Rustle! Ningyu's action left everyone dumbfounded. Even Ji Hao was stunned on the spot and was speechless for a long time. Ji Hao knew that Ningyu was strong, but he didn't expect Ningyu to be this strong. That's a pinnacle second-grade sovereign realm human sovereign, and you've defeated him with a simple emerald green branch? If Ningyu knew what everyone was thinking, he would probably roll his eyes. A random dark green branch? This was probably the first time the sapling had been insulted so badly ever since it gained consciousness. All right. While charging towards the Jin clan's pinnacle second-grade Earth Sovereign, Ningyu transmitted his voice to the sapling. Won't you attract the attention of the 100 Flowers, Heavenly Sovereign, and the rest? To be honest, Ningyu was very worried. Even though the sapling had said that the true bodies of Heavenly Venerate Centauria and the others weren't here, who wasn't afraid? Both Empyrean 100 Flowers and the old lady from God Emperor Palace were at the Sky Supreme Realm. A single mishap might cause them to spy on him, and that would be a bit of a loss that outweighs the gains. It's fine. They can't even take care of themselves right now. How could they notice us? The sapling said indifferently, I'm warning you. Leave as soon as you get rid of this small fry. Understood. Ningyu naturally knew the severity of the situation. In fact, Ningyu didn't need the sapling's reminder. He had already made up his mind. He would kill the Jin clan's pinnacle second-grade Earth Sovereign, kill Di Chong, and then find a way to leave the city. As for fighting against the dark gold mystical tiger, what a joke! Didn't they see that Scarface and ferocious mystical wolves were already at a disadvantage? If they continued to fight, Scarface and ferocious mystical wolves would definitely be defeated or even killed. Where are you going? After realizing the seriousness of the situation, Ningyu instantly raised his speed to the limit and charged towards the Jin clan's pinnacle second-grade Earth Sovereign. The Jin clan's pinnacle second-grade Earth Sovereign was originally very powerful and fast, but there was a gust of chi colliding in his body, making him a little exhausted. Damn it! The Jin clan's pinnacle, second grade, earth, sovereign cursed inwardly, and stopped. Ningyu, don't go too far. The Jin clan's pinnacle, second grade earth sovereign said coldly while suppressing the chi in his body, hoping to stall for time. Kill. How could Ningyu not know what the Jin clan's pinnacle second grade earth sovereign was planning? He took out the red demon sword and slashed repeatedly. In a split second, several sword rays appeared and slashed towards the Jin clan's pinnacle second grade earth sovereign. Law of space, bring me closer to him. Ningyu's killing intent was aroused, and he began to contact the law of space. Buzz. The law of space did not dare to be slow. It hurriedly tore through the void with Ningyu and appeared in front of the Jin clan's pinnacle second grade earth sovereign in the blink of an eye. Shit. As soon as Ningyu disappeared, the Jin clan's pinnacle second grade earth sovereign realized that something was wrong. However, with the help of the law of space, Ningyu's speed was so fast that it was terrifying. Poof! Tearing through the void, Ningyu stabbed out with the red demon sword. Precisely. Ningyu's sword stabbed into the Jin clan's pinnacle second grade earth sovereign's heart. Primordial spirit battle physique. With a low roar, Ningyu hurriedly took out the 10,000 sacred flag and summoned the primordial spirit battle physique. The Jin clan's pinnacle second grade earth sovereign did not expect that Ningyu would have such a thing. For a moment, he was stunned on the spot. Of course, the Jin clan's pinnacle second grade earth sovereign's physical body had already been destroyed. It was his primordial spirit that was stunned on the spot. Crack! The primordial spirit battle physique did not hold back. While the Jin clan's pinnacle second grade earth sovereign was stunned, it opened its mouth and swallowed him. He's dead. Seeing the Jin clan's pinnacle second grade earth sovereign being swallowed, the surrounding cultivators were all shocked. How long had it been? A pinnacle second grade earth sovereign was actually killed by Ningyu? The one who was most shocked was none other than Di Chong. In the beginning, Di Chong had thought that he could defeat Ningyu with the Jin clan's pinnacle second grade earth sovereign. But now it seemed that he was wrong. Ningyu was simply a freak. He was outrageously fierce. You can go to hell now. After killing the Jin clan's pinnacle second grade earth sovereign, Ningyu's gaze fell on Di Chong, and he instantly rushed out. Ningyu knew his own limits. He did not help much in killing the Jin clan's pinnacle second grade earth sovereign. It was mainly the sapling's contribution. Now he had to show his strength to Di Chong. Elder, save me. Di Chong shouted when he saw Ningyu rushing towards him. Although Di Chong was very confident in his strength, the cultivator he was facing was a peerless expert. Even a pinnacle ninth grade earth sovereign like him could kill a pinnacle second grade earth sovereign. Ningyu, how dare you? Although Di Chong was fighting with Chungling, his attention was always on Di Chong. Di Chong was a peerless genius of the Divine Emperor Palace. He could not lose him. There's nothing to be afraid of. After experiencing so much, Ningyu's mentality had long been tempered to be extraordinarily strong. Even if Di Chong attacked him, he would not give up on killing Di Chong, let alone Di Chong's scolding. Die. Ning, you did not want to ask the sapling to kill Di Chong. He wanted to do it himself. The longevity flame in his left hand and the myriad bone flame in his right hand forcibly merged the two flames together. Go! Chapter 1360. Find a way to get out of here. Elder, save me. Seeing that the flames were about to reach him, Di Chong shouted. He even forgot to resist. Trash, hurry up and resist. Di Chong was infuriated. He was angry at both Ningyu and Di Chong. Most of all, he was disappointed in Di Chong. Ningyu is only a 7th grade human sovereign. No matter how strong he is, it's impossible for him to kill you in a short period of time. If you resist with all your strength and use all your trump cards, you can at least resist for a few seconds. These few seconds were not to be underestimated. As long as Di Chang had a few seconds, he would be able to deal a fatal blow to Ningyu. But now everything was a mess. Di Chang was nervous. He only cared about calling for help and did not resist. Even though Di Chang's roar had awakened Di Chang, everyone knew that it was too late. In a panic, Di Chang responded. The primal qi in his body surged out, forming a protective primal qi barrier around his body. Rumble. Unfortunately, the flame Ningyu had unleashed was too powerful. Wherever the flames passed, the air parted. Even the Yuan Qi protective barrier around Di Chang shattered. Puchi. The protective barrier shattered, and Di Chang was directly exposed to the attack range of the flames. The flames did not hold back and directly bombarded Di Chang's heart. It entered from the front and exited from the back. It did not stay in Di Chang's body for even a second. How did you? Lowering his head to look at his pierced heart, Di Chang opened his mouth, wanting to say something, but before he could finish his words, he collapsed to the ground, dead. Di Chang's death was extremely thorough. Even his essence spirit was wiped out before it could escape. At this moment, all the surrounding martial artists looked at the flame with a solemn expression. It was a flame that could kill essence souls. No one was surprised that a primordial spirit battle body could devour a primordial spirit. After all, this was a publicly acknowledged fact in the Skyfiend region. However, to everyone's surprise, this flame could also destroy primordial spirits. Ningyu, you're courting death. Looking at Di Chang being killed right in front of his eyes, Di Chang was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. One had to know that his mission in the huge city was to help the dark, gold, mystic tiger recover and protect Di Chang. Now that the first mission was completed, the second mission was declared a failure. Even if he left the huge city, he would still be berated by Di Wuba. If you want to kill Ningyu, you'll have to get past me first. Since she had decided to protect Ningyu, Changling would not give up halfway. She kept Di Chang occupied so that he could not kill Ningyu. Ningyu, what should we do now? At this moment, Jinlan was so shocked that he was even stuttering. The fact that Ningyu could kill a second-grade Earth sovereign had indeed exceeded her expectations. It had also strengthened her resolve to help Ningyu. Salad. Ningyu's expression was very calm. He spread his hands and said, Aya, if there's really no other way, we'll leave the altar right now. Jinlan stomped his feet in anger when he saw Ningyu acting like he had nothing to lose, and he said, I have a space break scroll. I'll use it as soon as we leave the altar. By then, we'll be randomly teleported to some place in the Dan Qin continent. You have a space-piercing scroll. At this moment, Ningyu was finally shocked. It was no wonder Jinlan had always been fearless when facing him. The space-piercing scroll was extremely terrifying. It could tear through a barrier set up by a Sky Supreme expert. With the space-piercing scroll, Jinlan was indeed confident. I only have one, and it can only take 2 people. Jinlan looked at Changling and the 2 bloodthirsty mad wolves in the distance and said in a low voice, You keep the scroll. I don't need it. Ningyu waved his hand and said, Although the space-piercing scroll was terrifying, it could only take 2 people at a time. On his side, including himself, the 2 bloodthirsty mad wolves, and Changling, there were nearly 10 people at the peak of the 9th grade Human Supreme. How could a space-piercing scroll do that? But Jinlan opened his mouth and wanted to remind Ningyu. However, seeing Ningyu's expression, Jinlan didn't continue. This is really troublesome. The law of space, the sapling, do you have any ideas? Ningyu began to contact the law of space and the sapling. No matter what, he had to take the 2 bloodthirsty mad wolves away. The Dan Qin continent was full of danger. He had not even left the void secret land, but he had already become enemies with several forces. Emperor God Palace was a force. Even if they didn't look for Ningyu, Ningyu would find trouble with them. Ningyu had completely offended the Jin family, and it was a situation where he would not rest until he was dead. As for the elixir puppet of the celestial elixir ridge and the black-clothed martial artists of the Three Stone Caves, they were both big trouble. Without a few powerful monsters following him, Ningyu was a little worried. This world was a dog-eat-dog world. There was no rule that the older generation couldn't attack the younger generation. Usually, when the younger generation was beaten up, the older generation would come. Of course, if the person who beat up the younger generation had a strong background, the older generation would definitely not show up. There is a way, but the success rate may be a little low. After a while, the law of space said, "The giant city is a bit special. I can find a way to break a passage, but I'm not sure where we will be teleported after leaving the giant city. Just tell me, what's our chance of survival?" Ningyu asked. "Less than 50%, the law of space said. That's already very high. What if we take the 2 bloodthirsty mad wolves with us? What's our chance of survival?" Ningyu asked again. No matter what, Ningyu had to take Scar and the bloodthirsty mad wolves with him, because once they were left behind, they would definitely die. The dark gold mystic tiger was not a pushover. I told you, less than 50%. The law of space was puzzled. Is there something wrong with your head? You're the one with the problem. Ningyu rolled his eyes. Since there was such a high success rate with 2 bloodthirsty mad wolves, it was worth the risk. Do you want to prepare? Ningyu took a deep breath and said in a low voice, "No need. I'll open a passage later. You just need to go in," the law of space said. His tone seemed a bit serious. No problem. Ningyu knew that this was a critical moment of life and death. He couldn't be careless. Therefore, he first asked Cheng-Ling for her opinion through soul sound transmission. Cheng-Ling glanced at Ningyu and surprisingly didn't stop him. However, she made it clear that she wouldn't leave with Ningyu. They wanted to leave from the altar. They were different from Ningyu. Once they left the giant city, their lives wouldn't be in danger. The 100 Flowers Palace's Fairy Yin, she wasn't someone to be trifled with. If you can survive, try to go to the 100 Flowers Palace, Cheng-Ling warned. However, when these words fell into Ningyu's ears, he felt very speechless. No matter how he listened to it, it didn't sound good. Next, Ningyu asked for Jean Lan's opinion. The result was obvious. Jean Lan refused and wanted to invite Ningyu to leave with her. Naturally, Ningyu wouldn't leave with Jean Lan. Scar and the bloodthirsty mad wolves, get ready. Listen to my orders. Chapter 1361. Chapter 1361. Chapter 1361. Uft. The impact of Ningyu's voice transmission was not weak. Scarred wolf and ferocious, bloodthirsty wolf were careless. The dark, gold, mystic tiger seized the opportunity and knocked them back. Blood spurted out of their mouths, and the 2 wolves' auras became extremely weak. Damn it! Seeing Scarred Wolf and Ferocious Wolf vomiting blood, Ningyu's face darkened. After all, Scarred Wolf and Ferocious Wolf were injured because of him. Fortunately, Ningyu was relieved that Scarred Wolf and Ferocious Wolf were sent flying in his direction. Buzz! 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 At the same time, the law of space began to move. The space shook, and in an instant, a space tunnel formed by golden light appeared. Let's go! Ningyu shouted when he saw the law of space set up a spatial tunnel. Then he leaped up and entered the tunnel. Swoosh! Swoosh! Behind Ningyu, Scarred Wolf and Ferocious Wolf did not dare to delay. They hurriedly tore through the void and rushed toward the space tunnel. Scarred Wolf and Ferocious Wolf knew very well that they would die if they stayed. At this time, they had to trust Ningyu unconditionally. Their confidence could not be shaken. Therefore, Scarred Wolf and Ferocious Wolf were very fast. They did not even hesitate to burn their blood essence to increase their speed. Scarred Wolf and Ferocious Wolf were not far from the space tunnel. Coupled with their speed, they arrived in front of the tunnel in an instant. Without saying a word, Scarred Wolf and Ferocious Wolf jumped into the space tunnel. Roar! It was not until Ning Yu and Ferocious Wolf completely disappeared that the dark, gold, Mystic Tiger and Di Chong reacted. They moved forward side by side, madly rushing toward the space tunnel. Boom! Unfortunately, their speed was obviously slower by half a beat. As soon as Scarred Wolf and Ferocious Wolf entered the space tunnel, it closed completely and everything returned to normal. Let's go! Chung Ling glanced in the direction where the space tunnel disappeared, then jumped out and rushed to the altar. Swoosh! 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 Behind Chung Ling, 5 figures quickly rushed out. Needless to say, the extra figure was Jinlan. Retreat! Since Ningyu and the others had escaped, there was no need for Ji Hao to stay. He escorted the 4-peak 9th grade human supremes of the Broken Dragon Valley and approached the altar step by step, wanting to leave from the altar. Voila! Not only did Broken Dragon Valleys Ji Hao want to leave, but even the Great Sword Sects and Fire God Sects cultivators wanted to leave like a swarm of bees. They had entered the giant city relatively early, so they had obtained some good fortune. Although they hadn't advanced to the 1st grade Earth Sovereign Realm, they knew that nothing good would come out of staying here. Anyway, the 3 hours were almost up, and they wouldn't lose much if they left now. Outside the empty secret realm, after a period of recuperation, Jin Xiong and the others finally recovered to their peak state. After sending 4 7th grade Earth Sovereigns into the giant city, Jin Xiong and the rest had encountered an unprecedented crisis. Fortunately, they were very strong and had a solid foundation. Otherwise, this kind of injury would take them a long time to recuperate. How long do you think we should wait? The quiet area was broken by a voice. The cultivator who spoke came from a small sect and was a 5th grade human supremacy. Originally, this small sect wanted to try their luck, but who would have thought that the conditions to enter the giant city were so high that they completely lost hope? Now that they had waited for a few hours, they had lost their patience and even wanted to leave. It's hard to say. It depends on how long those geniuses stay in there. That's right. According to my estimation, at least 80% of the peerless geniuses who entered the giant city will advance to the Earth Sovereign Realm. 80%? You're underestimating them. In my opinion, it must be 100%. Humph. Before the last cultivator could finish his sentence, Jin Xiong and Di Wuba snorted coldly at the same time. Hearing Jin Xiong and Di Wuba's cold snorts, the cultivator who spoke just now instantly shut his mouth. 80%, 100%, that was purely courting death. One should know that the 4 peerless geniuses of the Jin clan had all died in the giant city. The Emperor Divine Palace was slightly better, but they also lost 3 peerless geniuses. How could they say that? Crack! At this moment, a crisp sound rang out again. Hearing this figure, everyone was dumbfounded. A cultivator from the Emperor Divine Palace opened his mouth wide as he looked at the shattered soul token in his hand. His face was filled with fear. Needless to say, the last peerless genius of the Emperor Divine Palace had also been killed. Crack, crack! Di Wuba clenched his fists tightly, and his body trembled domineeringly. Whether a sect could prosper for a long time depended on the number of peerless geniuses and high-end combat strength. After losing 4 peerless geniuses this time, Di Wuba's heart was bleeding. He finally understood what Jin Xiong was thinking. Whoosh! Suddenly, the altar emitted a bright golden light. Then, several figures tore through the void and appeared on the altar. It's the people from the 100 Flower Palace. 4 of them are peak 9th grade human sovereigns and a 7th grade Earth Supreme. They are all unharmed. Who is that woman? Why did she use a space-piercing scroll? Did she leave? The people from the Broken Dragon Valley are also unharmed. Look, it's the people from the Great Sword Sect, Fire God Sect, Evil Monarch Manor, and Death Valley. It seems that the peerless genius of the Great Sword Sect has obtained some good fortune. Although he did not advance to the Earth Supreme Realm, his cultivation has reached the half-step Earth Supreme Realm. The people from the Fire God Sect are not bad. They are only half a step away from the half-step Earth Supreme Realm. The people from the Evil Monarch Manor and Death Valley are a little worse. They don't seem to have obtained much good fortune. Everyone was discussing, and the surroundings were lively. Of course, some people were happy while others were sad. The one who was most depressed was Jin Xiong. Not only did the 4 peerless geniuses die inside, but even a 2nd grade Earth Supreme realm died inside. What was more exaggerated was that the 7th grade Earth Supreme realm, Jin Fu, did not leave either. Look, someone else came out. Suddenly, everyone's gaze shifted to the altar. Rumble! A rumbling sound rang out, and then the altar emitted a bright golden light. 2 figures quietly appeared. It's Di Chong. Who's the other one? It seems to be a demonic beast. I know, it's the dark golden mystic tiger, and its cultivation has reached the 6th grade Earth Supreme Realm. Just when everyone's attention was on the dark golden mystic tiger, a powerful voice resounded in the area. From today onwards, the Void Secret Realm will be closed for 3 years. No one is allowed to step into the Void Secret Realm. Anyone who dares to step into the Void Secret Realm will be killed without mercy. Hua! This sentence was extremely powerful and domineering, leaving no room for negotiation. The surroundings were in an uproar, but everyone was clear that no one wanted to stand out at this time. The Void Secret Realm was a good place to train. If the Void Secret Realm was closed, the ones who would suffer the most would be the Jin Clan, Emperor Palace, and the other powerful sections. Swish! Chapter 1362. Chapter 1362. Chapter 1362. Starcloud, City both Diwuba, and Jin Lan's faces darkened when they heard the powerful voice. The closure of the Void Secret Realm was indeed a great loss to them. However, as the higher-ups of their respective sects, they more or less knew what had happened in the Void Secret Realm. None of them had expected this to happen, and there was nothing they could do about it. By the way, why hasn't the 7th grade Earth Supreme of the Jin Clan come out? Suddenly, someone thought of a terrifying possibility. Now that the Void Secret Realm was closed, and the 7th grade Earth Supreme of the Jin Clan had yet to leave, wouldn't that mean that he would be trapped in there for 3 years? Whoosh! Everyone's eyes fell on Jin Xiong. Senior, there are still people from the Jin Clan in the Void Secret Realm. Can you make an exception? Thinking of Jin Fu and Jin Liefei, and the others who had entered the Void Secret Realm not long ago, Jin Xiong had to bite the bullet. Those people were the higher-ups of the Jin Clan. If they were all trapped in the Void Secret Realm for 3 years, the strength of the Jin Clan would be greatly affected. It might even drop by a level. Even if those people came out of the Void Secret Realm after 3 years, it might be man-made. I know what you're thinking, but I can tell you clearly that there are no humans in the Void Secret Realm. The voice came out from the altar again. However, Jin Xiong's jaw dropped when he heard the voice. He was completely dumbfounded. There were no humans in the Void Secret Realm. If that was the case, where were Jin Liefei and the others who had entered the Void Secret Realm? Were they all dead? All kinds of doubts flashed through Jin Xiong's mind. Uft! Finally, Jin Xiong felt a tightness in his chest, and he suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. for peerless geniuses were killed. That was fine. The Jin clan still had other geniuses. A second-grade Earth Supreme was killed. That was fine. The Jin clan still had many Earth Supreme experts. Jinfu's death was not something that could not be accepted. However, the death of Jin Liafei and the others was like a bolt from the blue to the Jin clan. It was unacceptable. Let's go. With a gloomy expression, Jin Xiong waved his hand and rushed toward the Qinya Empire. Jin Xiong was very anxious. He wanted to tell this matter to the Jin family's ancestor, and he also wanted to seal off the news. This was especially true for the hostile forces of the Jin clan. They could not be allowed to know that Jin Liafei and the others had been completely annihilated. Otherwise, all the forces would definitely gather in the Qinya Empire. At that time, it was still unknown whether the Jin family could continue to hold on. Jin Xiong leaving in such a hurry made everyone very puzzled. Although they were confused, since the empty secret realm would be sealed for 3 years, there was no need for these people to stay. Voila! Therefore, the crowd dispersed and quickly disappeared. Buzz! Not long after everyone left, a figure quietly appeared. Did he really die inside? This figure was none other than the one who had a conflict with Ningyu in the Celestial Dan Hall, Xia Yi. After pausing for a while, Xia Yi's figure flashed as he flew into the distance. Buzz! After a while, the space cracked open again. The two figures that appeared this time were the black-clothed martial artist and the three-legged golden crow. What a pity! The empty secret realm has been sealed for 3 years. I won't be able to get the Kuin Pungbone. The black-clothed martial artist shook his head and said, "The winds are rising and the clouds are gathering. I didn't expect someone from the Danchi to appear. It seems like I will have to switch to another clone." As he spoke, the black-clothed martial artist's figure gradually became illusory. Very quickly, he turned into a shadow and disappeared. The black-clothed martial artist disappeared. The three-legged golden crow shuddered. For some reason, the three-legged golden crow felt that the black-clothed martial artist had not gone far. It was as if he was staring at it from the void. I should return to the clan as soon as possible. The three-legged golden crow looked left and right. Then he flapped his wings and flew in a specific direction. After everyone left, at the exit of the empty secret realm, the ground below the altar suddenly caved in. The altar that stood above the ground completely sank into the ground. This trip to the empty secret realm had some happy and some sad. However, everyone agreed that in the coming days, the Qinya Empire and even the entire Danchi mainland would be reshuffled. Star Cloud City, located in the center of the Qinya Empire, it was the largest city in the Qinya Empire apart from the capital. The city walls were tall, and the buildings in the city were majestic. It had a majestic aura. Rumor had it that when Star Cloud City was first built, all the alchemy geniuses in the Qinya Empire gathered in Star Cloud City to hold the alchemy competition of the Qinya Empire. In the end, an alchemy genius named Xingyan won first place, and Star Cloud City was named after him. Since then, Star Cloud City had become the holy land of alchemy in the Qinya Empire. Almost all the alchemists in the Qinya Empire would head to Star Cloud City, hoping to enter Star Cloud Academy and become a member. This was because the dean of Star Cloud Academy was Grandmaster Xingyan, a peak 9th grade alchemist. In the Sky Demon territory, any peak 9th grade alchemist was a high and mighty existence. If anyone could receive guidance from Grandmaster Xingyan, they would probably wake up smiling even in their dreams. Star Cloud City was especially lively today. Not only were all the alchemists in the Qinya Empire gathered here, but even the other 3 empires had sent their own alchemy geniuses over, hoping to receive guidance from Grandmaster Xingyan. There were a total of 4 empires in the Dancheng mainland: Qinya Empire, Cloudy Wind Empire, Heavenly Dragon Empire, and Purple Sun Empire. Although there were ninth-grade alchemists in the other three empires, their alchemy level was only at the advanced stage of ninth-grade alchemy. There was always a layer of paper between them and a peak ninth-grade alchemist. "Hey, have you heard?" Grandmaster Xingyin said that whoever wins first place in this alchemy competition will have the opportunity to talk to him face to face. Who doesn't know? In order to have a chance to talk to Grandmaster Xingyin, the other three empires sent their strongest lineup. Even the peerless genius who had just gone into seclusion was called over. "What are you guys waiting for? Hurry up! There won't be any seats left if you wait any longer." Russell, all the martial artists and alchemists in Star Cloud City were boiling with excitement. Everyone rushed towards the Nebula Academy, striving to outdo each other. Because there were too many people participating in this alchemy competition, Grandmaster Xingyin announced that only alchemists under the age of 30 were allowed to participate, and the strength of their soul force could not be weaker than 5th grade alchemy. In order to facilitate the registration, there were a total of 10 registration tables in front of the main entrance of Star Cloud Academy. Behind each registration table, there was a huge soul testing tablet. As long as one placed their hand on it, the tablet would show the level of their soul force. "Sister Yao, we can't go on like this. Should we lower our requirements a little?" Out of the 10 registration tables, the other 9 were full of people. Only the first registration table had no one in sight. "I'm very curious." Inside the first registration table, a beautiful lady frowned and said, "Our requirements are very low. Why didn't anyone come? Are they not confident?" Hearing the beautiful lady's words, the other 2 young men who were in charge of recording rolled their eyes and were speechless. "You call this low requirements?" The other registration tables had very simple requirements. As long as one was under the age of 30, and the strength of their soul force was higher than 5th grade alchemist. Chapter 1363. Sign up. There's still no one on Yao Qiong's side. That's right. Look at her life-saving requirements. An alchemist under the age of 25 must have a soul force strength of 8th grade. Does she think that everyone is as abnormal as her? I don't know what she's thinking. This alchemy competition was personally ordered by Grandmaster Xingyin, but she insisted on coming to cause trouble. Someone else is qualified to cause trouble. That person is the last disciple of Master Xingyin. It might be Master Xingyin's order. Let's not ask around blindly. Registration is more important. The discussions of the crowd entered into the ears of Xia Qing and Zhao Tai, causing them to be speechless. What did he mean by Master Xingyin's order? Others might not know, but the 2 of them knew very well. Within Nebula Academy, there was a pagoda called the Zun Pagoda. The Tower of Ascension had a total of 9 levels, and it was rumored that each level corresponded to a soul force strength. In other words, a 5th grade soul force could ascend to the 5th floor, and a 7th grade soul force could ascend to the 7th floor. However, there were exceptions to everything. Even if one soul force reached the pinnacle of Tier 8, there was no way to ascend to the 8th level of the Nebula Pagoda. Yao Qiong's soul force was at the 8th grade. Over the years, she had entered the Tower of Yuzuan more than once, but without exception, she had always stopped at the 7th level. Therefore, every time Nebula Academy recruited students or held an alchemy competition, she would set up a registration counter and write down the requirements. Age, below 25 years old. Soul power strength, tentatively set at rank 8. Higher wouldn't be a problem. As long as he could reach the 8th level of the Tower of Yuzuan, the conditions could be relaxed. "Sister Yao, we've been waiting here for half a day. I don't think anyone will come to sign up." Xia Qing braced herself and said. Zhao Tai also had a hopeful look on his face. The 2 of them were forced to come. They had no choice but to come. After all, be it in martial arts or alchemy, Yao Qiong would definitely crush them. Who says no one will come? Yao Qiong's face was expressionless as she said, I observed the stars last night and realized that someone would be coming to register today. All right. Upon hearing Yao Qiong's words, Xia Qing and Zhao Tai both pulled long faces and looked dispirited. Someone came to sign up? Even if there were people who met the requirements, they would never sign up. Any talented alchemist would have heard of the Tower of Ascension. The Tower of the Supreme View was indeed very special. Every time one ascended a level, they would be rewarded with many things. However, one had to pay a hefty price to enter the Tower of Yuzu. Someone had calculated that unless one reached the 8th level of the Tower of Yuzuan, they would suffer a loss if they entered. They would lose so much that they wouldn't even be left with their pants. In the past, there were a few idiots who came to sign up, but when they heard that they had to pay a huge price to enter, they all cried and shouted that they wanted to give up. It would be strange if someone came to sign up. That's right. No one will come to sign up. It's time to open. It's time to open. One bet, 1 to 10. Don't miss it. Hurry up and buy. I guarantee that you'll make a fortune. I'll do it. I'll do it. 1,000 royal grade origin crystals. No one will come and sign up. Go, 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 go. Didn't you hear what I said? I'll only open one betting stand. If someone comes over to sign up for the stand, I'll pay you back 10 times for every one you buy. I'm honest with you. Before the voice of the martial artist who had set up the bet had faded, the crowd dispersed in an uproar. Buy people to sign up? What a joke! No one wanted to lose origin crystals for nothing. Sigh, what bad luck. It's getting worse every year. The martial artist who had set up the bet lightly sighed. But very quickly he changed his tone and said, Damn, your requirements are so high. Unless someone falls from the sky and directly falls onto your registration stand. If anyone dares to sign up at your stand, I'll crack. The martial artist had only spoken halfway when his mouth opened wide. His eyes widened and his face was filled with a dumbfounded expression. Swoosh! Apart from this martial artist, even the martial artists at the entrance of the Nebula Academy were dumbfounded. What the hell? This was the thought in everyone's mind. The space above the registration stand where Yao Qiong and the others were at split open. A figure fell down and smashed the registration stand into pieces. Gulp! Swallowing a mouthful of saliva, the martial artist who had set up the bet felt that it was inconceivable. He said, Someone really fell from the sky. Fortunately, I didn't open the bet just now. Otherwise, I would have lost so much that I wouldn't even have my underwear left. Oh my God, there's really someone who wants to sign up? Could it be that he's attracted by Yao Qiong's beauty and wants to use this method to attract Yao Qiong's attention? That's really possible. The crowd discussed, but the majority agreed with this view. In Nebula City, and even in the Thousand Leaf Empire, there were countless people who liked Yao Qiong. In order to woo Yao Qiong, some people used all kinds of methods. Needless to say, this martial artist's method was indeed quite novel. Secretly, some young men gave the grimacing man on the ground a thumbs up. Io, the law of space. Where the hell did you bring me? Rubbing his slightly painful, but Ning Yu couldn't help but start complaining. Although he knew that he had successfully survived, Ning Yu still wanted to complain. After all, the law of space could have helped him, but he didn't. There's an expert. It's not convenient for me to act. The voice of the law of space sounded in Ning Yu's mind. Hearing this voice, Ning Yu was first stunned. Then he exerted some force in his legs and stood up. My apologies. I broke your table. I'll compensate you. Looking at the wooden splinters on the ground, Ning Yu said, I can't find you a table that's exactly the same in a short period of time. How about this? I'll give you a few crystals. As he spoke, Ning Yu's perception rummaged through his storage ring, trying to find crystals. Very soon, Ning Yu revealed an awkward expression. The current him was a pauper. Forget crystals, he didn't even have gold coins. Are you here to sign up? Yao Qiong stared at Ningyu and asked, "Sign up." Ningyu was taken aback and asked doubtfully, "Sign up for what?" "Ha ha ha." Ningyu's words caused the surrounding martial artists to burst into laughter. "All of you, shut up." Yao Qiong flipped out and said coldly, "I'll ask you one last time. Are you here to sign up?" Yao Qiong enunciated the last few words one at a time. Her words, combined with Yao Qiong's aura, caused the surrounding martial artists to shut up. "My apologies, I'm not here to sign up. I'll—" Ningyu frowned and shook his head. "You don't have to sign up, but you have to compensate me for my table." "An identical table," Yao Qiong said coldly. Ningyu was dumbfounded. He had just escaped from the void mystic realm. He had not even figured out what was going on, and he was already in trouble again? Sign up? Sign up for what? What the F asterisk CK? There was only one thought in Ningyu's mind, and that was to leave as soon as possible to prevent being discovered by the Jin family's experts. Chapter 1364. Chapter 1364. Decapitation, hee. Yao Qiong is furious. That cultivator has to agree whether he wants to or not. Isn't that right? Yao Qiong is famous for being domineering. Once she has set her mind on something, she will never change. "Hey, kid, you'd better agree to it. Otherwise, you won't be able to leave." "That's right. Agreeing to it won't be a bad thing for you." As the crowd discussed, they even started to persuade Ningyu. Of course, most of the cultivators were just watching the show. As the saying went, watching a show doesn't mind if things get out of hand. I really have something urgent to attend to." Ningyu put on a long face and pretended to be very anxious. "How about this? Tomorrow I promise to come and sign up," Ningyu said righteously, with a look of awe-inspiring righteousness. Yao Qiong crossed her arms in front of her chest and looked at Ningyu quietly without saying a word. Her request was very simple. Sign up or pay for an identical table. Otherwise, don't even think about leaving. In my opinion, you should agree to Sister Yao." Seeing that the situation was a little awkward, Xia Qing could only bite the bullet and approach Ningyu. She lowered her voice and said, "In the past, there were a few people like you who wanted to attract Sister Yao's attention. In the end, they were all crippled." As she spoke, Xia Qing casually glanced at Ningyu's lower body. Xia Qing's action made Ningyu's heart skip a beat. He hurriedly clamped his legs together. "What the F asterisk CK? Are you trying to let me live?" I've brought the message. As for how you choose, I won't make the decision for you." Xia Qing pretended to leave as if nothing had happened. Gulp! Ningyu swallowed a mouthful of saliva. He was really unlucky. He had just emerged from the pitch-black spatial tunnel. He did not even see the scarred and ferocious, bloodthirsty berserk wolves. But he actually encountered such a thing. "What? You're talking about force buying?" "I can tell you honestly, it's even more terrifying than that." "All right, I agree to it." One had no choice but to lower one's head under the eaves. Moreover, the law of space said that there was a peerless powerhouse here. "Ning, you didn't want to be in danger again, right after escaping from danger." "That's more like it. Follow me." Yao Qiong nodded with satisfaction and said, "There's no time to lose. I'll take you there right now. Wait." As she spoke, Yao Qiong seemed to have thought of something. He turned around and looked at Ningyu. "You should be younger than 25, right?" Ningyu was confused, but he still said, "Yes, less than 25. "What rank is your soul power?" Yao Qiong asked again. "Why are you asking this?" Ningyu frowned. He did not know what Yao Qiong meant. "What I mean is, what grade of alchemist are you?" Yao Qiong said in a deep voice. "Am I an alchemist?" "I'm not an alchemist." Ningyu stretched out his right hand and pointed at his nose, revealing an exaggerated expression. No matter how stupid Ningyu was, From the whispers of the crowd and the words on the registration platform, he found some clues. In the end, this Nebula Academy was holding a face competition, and today was the registration day. After discovering these clues, Ningyu naturally had to find a way to leave. This was the Thousand-Leaf Empire. Even if there was an alchemy competition, the Jean family would definitely participate. If this Yao Qiong made things difficult for him again, he would definitely run. Uft! The crowd burst into laughter when they heard Ningyu's words. In the end, he wasn't even an alchemist. How embarrassing. Beauty, Yao is going to suffer this time. I didn't expect her to fail because of this guy. In my opinion, this guy is definitely an alchemist. He just doesn't want to go to the Yuzuan Tower. I agree. Yao Qiong thinks that everyone is like her, able to enter the Yuzuan Tower at any time. Every time the Yuzuan Tower opens, it consumes a huge amount of resources. Ordinary people can't afford it. Hearing this, Ningyu's heart stirred. He didn't know Yao Qiong, nor had he heard of Nebula Academy. However, he knew this Yuzuan Tower very well. To be precise, in his previous life, this Yuzuan Tower belonged to him. The Yuzuan Tower specialized in nurturing alchemist geniuses. It could allow alchemists to improve even further. Any 8th grade alchemist under the age of 30 who could ascend to the 8th floor of the Yuzuan Tower would unconditionally increase their soul force by 1 level. The reason why the Yuzuan Tower was so abnormal was because Ningyu had left 2 ancient arrays on the 8th and 9th floor. These 2 ancient arrays had the effect of nourishing the soul, which was a great help in cultivating soul force. In his previous life, Ningyu accepted a disciple. Of course, the news of Ningyu accepting a disciple was not known by anyone in the vast sky demon domain. When he was besieged, that disciple happened to be inside the Yuzuan Tower and did not come out, so he was lucky enough to escape. Did that kid change his name to Grandmaster Xingyan? Ningyu's heart shook. He vaguely remembered that the disciple he accepted was an orphan. However, he was talented in alchemy, willing to endure hardships and study hard. It was because of that disciple's willingness to endure hardships that Ningyu decided to give him the Yuzuan Tower. Otherwise, why would Ningyu give a treasure as precious as the Yuzuan Tower to someone else so easily? This was because the Yuzuan Tower had a secret. It wasn't just a tower, but a treasure that surpassed the emperor rank. Thinking of this, Ningyu sorted out his thoughts and smiled apologetically at Yao Qiong. I'm sorry, I was just joking. I'm actually an 8th grade alchemist. Uft. Ningyu's calm demeanor and the change in his expression caused the crowd to burst into laughter once more. This is too funny. Is he a clown hired by a monkey? More or less, but he's quite bold. That's Yao Qiong, the devil Yao. He actually dared to tease her like this. Maybe he's bold because he's skilled? Didn't you hear him say that he's an 8th grade alchemist? The crowd's discussion fell into Yao Qiong's ears, and she was instantly infuriated. How dare he tease me? Whoosh! With both feet on the ground, Yao Qiong quickly rushed out. Sister Yao, don't! Seeing Yao Qiong rush out, Xia Qing hurriedly shouted. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and apologize to Sister Yao. On the other side, Zhao Tai also hurriedly reminded Ningyu. Young man, hurry up and beg for mercy. Otherwise, Devil Yao will kill you. Don't scare the handsome little guy. At most, Devil Yao will cripple him. How could he kill him? Demons may be tyrannical, but they still have a sense of propriety. At most, they'll cripple him and make him a eunuch. Some tried to persuade Ningyu to admit his mistake, while others just wanted to watch the show and add fuel to the fire. Although there were many different opinions, everyone had the same thought. Ningyu was going to suffer. Yao Qiong was Grandmaster Xingyan's eldest disciple. Not only was her soul force at the late 8th grade, but her cultivation was also at the peak of 9th grade. Chapter 1365. Frost Iron Sect, brat, take this. Otherwise, don't even think of leaving today. Yao Qiong's speed was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, she had arrived before Ningyu. She clenched her right hand into a fist and violently punched towards Ningyu. On the surface, Yao Qiong's punch seemed very powerful. However, that wasn't the case. This was the Nebula Academy, and with so many people watching, she naturally wouldn't kill. 50% of her strength. Yao Qiong's original intention was to teach Ningyu a lesson. Therefore, she had only used 50% of her strength. However, Yao Qiong was a pinnacle 9th grade sovereign. Therefore, 50% of her strength was also very shocking. Have mercy, I was only joking with you. Looking at the fist that was inches away from him, Ningyu yelled in an attempt to wake Yao Qiong up. However, Yao Qiong had already determined that Ningyu was teasing her. No matter what, she would still throw this punch. Since he couldn't dodge it, Ningyu could only bite the bullet and throw a punch out. Boom! The two fists collided. Ningyu was like a kite with its string cut as he fell backwards. Crack! Ningyu's body slammed into another registration platform, shattering it into pieces. I'm sorry. After that move, Ningyu hastily crawled up from the ground and apologized profusely. In fact, Ningyu was very clear that he couldn't reveal his martial Dao strength here, no matter what. Not to mention the peerless experts in the Nebula Academy. There were also many Earth sovereigns amongst the spectators. Revealing his martial Dao strength here was simply courting death. Ha ha ha! Everyone burst into laughter when they saw Ningyu smash another registration platform. Not simple. This person is not simple. In the crowd, a young man in black frowned his brows as he stared at Ningyu and said, "Find a way to investigate his background." Investigate. Find out his background. We can't afford any mistakes in the alchemy competition organized by the Nebula Academy. Check it out. If there's no one behind him, find a way to kill him. What Ningyu didn't know was that he had become the target of public criticism because he didn't suffer any serious injuries from Yao Qiong's attack. Of course, Ningyu did not care about what these people thought. At this moment, he slowly walked toward Yao Qiong and said, "I was just joking. I really am an 8th grade alchemist. If you don't believe me, you can check it. Are you really an 8th grade apothecary?" Hearing Ningyu's words, coupled with the fact that Ningyu had withstood her punch and remained unscathed, Yao Qiong's heart wavered a little. In the flesh, Ningyu raised his head and puffed out his chest. Humph! What's going on today? Why does any Tom, Dick, or Harry dare to come here? At this moment, a cold snort sounded from the crowd. Then, a young man in white walked straight towards Ningyu. Sister Yao, I completely meet your requirements. Can you bring me to the Yuzuan Tower now? Ningyu ignored the man in white and even began to call Yao Qiong as Sister Yao. The Yuzuan Tower was an artifact and a good place to train one's soul force. Although he didn't know why the Yuzuan Tower was in Nebula Academy, Ningyu was very clear that as long as he could reach the 8th floor of the tower, his soul force would rise to the peak of 8th grade. Most importantly, Ningyu wanted to reach the 10th floor of the Yuzuan Tower and activate the array there to take away the Yuzuan Tower. In any case, the Yuzuan Tower belonged to Ningyu 20 years ago. If Ningyu took it away, there would be no psychological burden. Didn't you hear what I said? Seeing Ningyu ignore him, the man in white's face instantly turned gloomy. He scolded, "You said you're an 8th grade alchemist, so you're an 8th grade alchemist. What proof do you have?" Sister Yao, I guarantee that I meet the requirements. Why don't we go to the Yuzuan Tower now? With my talent, not to mention the 8th floor, even the 9th and 10th floor would be a cinch. Ningyu patted his chest and guaranteed, as if ascending the Yuzuan Tower was as simple as eating a meal. I'm so angry. The man in white trembled with anger. No matter what, he was a peerless genius of the Frost Metal School. The man in front of him didn't give him any face, which made him furious. Yao Qiong, this brat has provoked you time and time again. It's not convenient for you to act. Let me teach him a lesson. After all, this was Nebula Academy. The man in white didn't dare to act without Yao Qiong's permission. During the previous registrations, there were fights in front of Nebula Academy, but they were all caught by Yao Qiong and thrown out of Nebula City. The man in white didn't want to provoke Yao Qiong. Who is this guy? Ning Yu slightly knitted his brows and grabbed Xia Qing. Does he like Sister Yao? Xia Qing rolled her eyes at Ning Yu's question. She lowered her voice and said, his name is Baijan. He's a peerless genius of the Frost Metal School. He's a 7th grade sovereign with an initial phase 7th grade soul energy. A 7th grade sovereign is also a peerless genius? Ningyu opened his mouth and said exaggeratedly, if that's the case, then I'm also a peerless genius? I never thought that I would become a peerless genius one day. Ningyu's words caused everyone to be speechless. This was especially true for Baijan. He was so angry that white smoke was coming out of his nostrils. Sure, lower your voice. Baijan is very powerful. Don't underestimate him just because he's a 7th grade sovereign. Ordinary 8th grade sovereigns aren't his match. Xia Qing immediately signaled to Ningyu with her eyes and said, furthermore, the Frost Metal School has just merged with the Emperor Palace, becoming a subsidiary of the Emperor Palace. Merged with the Emperor Palace. Hearing that, Ningyu raised his brows and his face turned a little gloomy. Enemies were bound to meet on a narrow road. He had enmity with the Emperor Palace, but the Frost Metal School had merged with the Emperor Palace. Most importantly, the peerless genius of the Frost Metal School had taken the initiative to provoke him. It was truly unbearable even if it could be tolerated. However, Ningyu did not take the initiative to attack. He moved closer to Xia Qing and asked, what's the cultivation of the strongest expert of the Frost Metal School? 3rd grade Earth Sovereign. Xia Qing replied, but soon, Xia Qing's face turned vigilant and she said, don't be impulsive. Although the Frost Metal School often does shady things, they've already been subdued by the Emperor Palace. You can't do anything stupid. How could I do anything stupid? Ningyu was speechless. Xia Qing was too sensitive. If Xia Qing knew that his intention was to wipe out the Frost Metal School, how would she feel? Would she be scared out of her wits? By the way, did the 3rd grade Earth Sovereign of the Frost Metal School come today? Ningyu asked again. He had no choice. This was Starcloud City after all. It was safer to make a move after finding out the situation. They didn't come. The leader of the Frost Metal School is a 1st grade Earth Sovereign. He's so powerful that even Sister Yao doesn't want to offend him. Hey, what are you doing? Xia Qing explained. However, before Xia Qing could finish her explanation, Ningyu moved toward Baijan. There was a saying that went, if a tiger doesn't show its power, you'll think it's a sick cat. Ningyu felt that he couldn't tolerate it anymore. After all, he had to display his strength and make some small fries fear him. Chapter 1366. Disgrace. Although Ningyu seemed slow, he was actually very fast. In the blink of an eye, Ningyu had arrived before Baijan. After sizing up Baijan, Ningyu said, you want to teach me a lesson? What? Do you have any other ideas? Baijan was slightly stunned and said, you're just a 7th grade sovereign, yet you dare to take liberties with Yao Qiong? You must be tired of living. At this moment, Baijan was very excited. At the beginning, he was still thinking about how to cause trouble for Ningyu. Who would have thought that Ningyu would come to him on his own accord? Yao Qiong, you don't have any objections to me teaching this arrogant brat a lesson, right? Although Baijan wanted to teach Ningyu a lesson, he did not forget where he was. So he turned around and asked Yao Qiong for her opinion. I don't mind. Yao Qiong replied with a slight frown. In fact, Yao Qiong had long disliked Baijan. If it wasn't for Han Taiman's Earth Sovereign, she would have kicked Baijan away. Now that Baijan wanted to humiliate himself, how could Yao Qiong stop him? In Yao Qiong's opinion, Ningyu was very powerful. He was only slightly weaker than her. Why not use Ningyu to teach Baijan a lesson? Not only could she teach Baijan a lesson, but she could also see Ningyu's true strength. Brat, Baijan, do not beat up nameless people. After receiving Yao Qiong's approval, Baijan rejoiced and said, "Tell me your name, I'm sorry, but my name is Nameless." Ningyu waved his hand and interrupted Baijan. Nameless? Baijan was slightly stunned when he heard Ningyu's words. Nameless? There's actually someone with this name? Uft. Baijan only reacted when someone beside him laughed. When he reacted, his face turned ashen and drained of blood. This brat is really arrogant. He had said that he would not beat up a nameless person. Now that this kid called him nameless, it was clearly a slap to his face. I think I heard someone say that they don't fight nameless people. My name is John Doe. Are you going to fight or not? Ningyu crossed his arms in front of his chest as he looked at Baijan with interest. You're courting death. After being ridiculed by Ningyu in front of so many people, Baijan's expression became unsightly. He stamped his feet on the ground and quickly charged forward. Wait. However, right after Baijan took a step forward, Ningyu stretched out his right hand and said, "It's not impossible for me to duel with you, but there must be some stakes." What prize? Baijan stopped abruptly. If it weren't for Yao Qiong, Baijan would have already killed Ningyu. Now that Yao Qiong was watching from the side, if Ningyu did not make a move, he would be looked down upon even if he won. Let me think about it. Ningyu jogged over to Xia Qing's side and asked in a low voice, "Do I need a lot of materials to enter the Tower of Yuzuan now?" That's right, I need a lot of materials. Xia Qing nodded. Got it. Ningyu nodded. Then he jogged over to Baijan and said, "Seriously, I came out in a hurry today and did not bring anything with me. Furthermore, I want to enter the Tower of Yuzuan." So what are you trying to say? Baijan looked at him coldly. The prize is the materials needed to enter the Tower of Yuzuan. Prepare a set of materials for me to enter the Tower of Yuzuan. I will be able to use them later, Ningyu said, as if he was talking about something very ordinary. What is your prize? Baijan's chest heaved up and down, but he forcefully suppressed it and asked, My prize? What prize do I need? You are the one who insisted on dueling with me. If I lose, you'll beat me up, but if you lose, you will only give me some materials. In short, I am suffering a great loss. Ningyu was confused, revealing a confused expression. Pooh! Baijan was so angry that he vomited a mouthful of blood. How thick-skinned must you be to say such things? Fine, I agree. To teach Ningyu a lesson as soon as possible, Baijan gritted his teeth and agreed. Although there were many materials needed to enter the Tower of Yuzuan, Baijan did not think that he would fail. Hence, he did not feel any psychological burden agreeing to it. Can we duel now? Baijan said coldly. Wait a moment. Ningyu waved his right hand. Then he jogged over to Yao Qiong's side and said, Sister Yao, did you hear that? If I defeat that Baijan, he'll give me the materials I need to enter the Tower of Ascension. Whoosh! Yao Qiong's right foot responded to Ningyu. Ningyu shuddered and quickly fled. He was still hoping that Yao Qiong would bring him into the Tower of Yuzuan. It was not wise to offend her here. All right, you can make your move now. After tidying up his clothes, Ningyu stood where he was and hooked his finger at Baijan. Whoosh! Ningyu's action caused a huge uproar in the surroundings. It was one thing for him to look down on Baijan, but he even mocked him in front of so many people. Given Baijan's character, he would definitely not let him off. Where did this brat come from? He even dares to offend Baijan. Hee, Baijan has always prided himself as an exceptional genius. In my opinion, he might have run into a nail this time. I'm optimistic about Baijan. I heard that after the Frost Metal sect merged with the Divine Emperor Palace, Baijan was personally taught by an elder of the Divine Emperor Palace. Although Baijan is only a grade 7 mortal sovereign, he can kill a grade 8 mortal sovereign. That brat is in danger. The opinions of the crowd were not too different. They were not optimistic about Ningyu. This is infuriating. Baijan clenched his fists and instantly shot forward. In order to defeat Ningyu as quickly as possible, Baijan used his full strength in his first move. Frost Metal Fist. Strands of cold chi emerged from Baijan's fist and shot toward Ningyu. Be careful, Xia Qing shouted when she saw the changes in Baijan's fist. She didn't know why, but she didn't want anything to happen to Ningyu. Baijan's way of doing things was very shameless. It's fine. Xia Qing's voice resounded in his ears. Ningyu turned around and smiled at her. You're courting death. Seeing Ningyu turn around, Baijan's expression turned cold as he ruthlessly punched his right fist toward Ningyu. At the crucial moment, Ningyu clenched his left fist and thrust it forward. Bang! In the next moment, what everyone had expected did not happen. Instead, Baijan's fist was unable to move an inch forward. What? What did I just see? Am I blind? You mean you're not blind? That brat did block Baijan's all-out attack. Baijan's all-out attack can even kill an 8th grade sovereign. Just who is that brat? He actually managed to block it so easily? You're asking me? Yeah, I'm asking you. Who the hell am I supposed to ask? In short, the fact that Ningyu had blocked Baijan's attack with his left hand caused everyone to discuss it with astonishment. Although Baijan's strength couldn't be ranked in the pellet formation continent, he could still be ranked among the second-rate geniuses in the Qinya Empire. However, a second-rate genius like Baijan was easily defeated by a cultivator of the same realm. Chapter 1367. Sneak Attack. I will kill you. Not only did the crowd not expect this, but even Baijan himself did not expect that Ningyu would block such a powerful attack. Baijan faced the sky and roared. Then he suddenly pulled back his palm and chopped at Ningyu's neck. Insignificant skill. The corners of Ningyu's lips curled up as he dodged to the side. He grabbed Baijan's wrist with his left hand and exerted some force. Cassier. Baijan's right wrist broke. With his wrist broken, Baijan let out a miserable shriek like a pig being slaughtered. Sorry, I used too much force. Ningyu revealed an apologetic smile as he said, I thought you were very strong, so I used 10% of my strength. If I had known earlier, I would not have used even 5% of my strength. Pooh, 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 pooh. Ningyu's words were very destructive. Baijan vomited several mouthfuls of blood, and the veins on his forehead bulged. Oh, you are going berserk? When Ningyu saw Baijan's transformation, he quickly retreated a few steps. He said in astonishment, This is a little troublesome. If you go berserk, your strength will increase by several levels. I am afraid. I know you are trying to shake my confidence. Ningyu continuously provoked Baijan with words, but it did not have much of an effect. Baijan took a deep breath and calmed down. After calming down, Baijan was somewhat terrifying. Today, I will show you what cruelty is. Baijan grabbed his right wrist with his left hand and exerted force. Cassier. Another melodious sound rang out. However, this time the melodious sound indicated that Baijan's right wrist had completely recovered. You also know medicine? Ningyu said in astonishment. Anyone who angers me will not have a good ending. Baijan ignored Ningyu's words. He flicked his wrist, and a silver flying sword appeared in his hand. A medial grade monarch flying sword. No matter what, Baijan was an exceptional genius of the Frost Metal sect. It was not excessive for him to possess a middle-grade monarch flying sword. To be able to die under its sword is the fortune you've cultivated for 8 lifetimes. Baijan said emotionlessly as he caressed the silver flying sword. What do you mean? We're just sparring. Could it be that someone will die? Ningyu's face was cold as he spoke in a deep voice. Don't worry, I won't kill you. I'll only turn you into an idiot. After he finished speaking, Baijan held the silver flying sword in his hand and dashed out quickly. Chi-chi. Baijan's speed was very fast, so fast that it was terrifying. The flying sword pierced through the void of space, making a hissing sound. Whoosh! At the critical moment, Ningyu's figure flashed, dodging Baijan's fatal attack. Again, even though Baijan's first attack had failed, he was not discouraged. Instead, he immediately launched a second attack. Rumble! In midair, Ningyu and Baijan continued to exchange blows. Ningyu managed to dodge every attack, narrowly missing Baijan's attack. However, Baijan missed Baijan's attack every time. As time passed, Baijan's mood became worse and worse. Baijan is going to lose. Yao Qiong said. Lose? Baijan is firmly suppressing him. Xia Qing said doubtfully. On the surface, Baijan seems to have the upper hand. However, that is not the case. Yao Qiong shook her head and said Baijan used his full power in every attack. However, he did not even manage to touch that brat's clothes. Do you know what this means? I got it. Xia Qing suddenly understood. There was only one possibility for such a situation. The disparity between Ningyu and Baijan was extremely large. It was terrifyingly large. Baijan could not even touch Ningyu's clothes, let alone win. Now, I'm starting to believe his words, Yao Qiong said calmly. Big sister Yao, do you really think that he is a grade 8 alchemist? Xia Qing was astonished. Xia Qing knew that Ningyu was very powerful. However, there were many powerful cultivators, but that did not mean that their soul power was powerful. Without a powerful soul power, even if one entered the Tower of Ascension, they would not be able to ascend to the 8th floor. Whoosh! Right at this moment, a cold light tore through the void and silently charged towards Ningyu. Not good. The sudden change caused Yao Qiong's expression to change drastically. Someone had made a move. Yao Qiong's first thought was that someone had interfered in the fight. Anyone with a discerning eye could see that Ningyu had the absolute upper hand. As long as Ningyu was given enough time, he would win sooner or later. It's the frigid metal sect. Xia Qing, who was beside Yao Qiong, also had an unsightly expression. No matter what, Yao Qiong was the one who had participated in this fight. Now, someone actually wanted to interfere. It was clear that this person was making an enemy out of Yao Qiong and the Nebula Academy. Be careful! Although Yao Qiong knew that it was the frigid metal sect that had interfered, she had no way of getting even with them. The cold light was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, it had arrived before Ningyu and was aimed at Ningyu's heart. What a ruthless heart! Yao Qiong clenched her fists. She could not wait to kill that grade 1 Earth Sovereign. However, Yao Qiong was clear that with her current strength, it was impossible for her to confront a grade 1 Earth Sovereign. Not good. Ningyu was fighting with Baijan. He seemed to be looking for an opportunity to defeat Baijan, but he noticed that someone was ambushing him. Ningyu's thought process was simple. If the enemy did not offend him, he would not offend them. If the enemy offended him, he would definitely kill them. Baijan, you can't blame me for this. With a cold gaze, Ningyu took out the red demon sword. Ding! The red demon sword slashed out and forced Baijan's silver flying sword back. Thereafter, Ningyu brandished the red demon sword and stabbed it towards Baijan's heart. If the enemy is heartless, don't blame me for being unjust. Ningyu's hearing was very good, so he heard everything that Xia Qing said. I am sparring with a genius from your frigid metal sect, but you seniors are ambushing me. Originally, He felt a little guilty about killing Baijan. However, it seemed like he no longer felt any guilt. Die. He injected the essence in his sea of consciousness into the red demon sword and stabbed it towards Baijan's heart. Swish! The red demon sword was very fast. Baijan could not dodge it no matter how hard he tried. The flying sword stabbed into Baijan's body, emitting a piercing sound. Primordial Spirit Battle Physique. Since time was of the essence, Ningyu summoned the 10,000 sacred flag and summoned the Primordial Spirit Battle Physique to devour Baijan's primordial spirit. Brett, you are courting death. When the Grade 1 Earth Sovereign from the Frigid Metal Sect saw Baijan's primordial spirit being devoured, he became furious and charged out. I have yet to settle the score with you, and you are already coming at me. Ningyu brandished the red demon sword in his hand repeatedly and forced back the cold light that the Grade 1 Earth Sovereign from the Frigid Metal Sect had unleashed. Then his body flashed, and he started to fight with the Grade 1 Earth Sovereign. Gulp. Seeing Ningyu's ferocious actions, all the surrounding cultivators, including Yao Qiong, swallowed a mouthful of saliva. That's a Grade 1 Earth Sovereign. It's fine that you blocked his cold light, but you still dare to fight him head-on? Are you tired of living? Chapter 1368. Chapter 1368. Chapter 1368 Pagoda of Transcendence. What did I just see? That brat actually dared to fight against the great elder of the Frost Metal School? Yongsong is a pinnacle first-grade Earth Sovereign, only a step away from the second-grade Earth Sovereign realm. A battle between a Grade 7 human sovereign and a Grade 1 Earth Sovereign. TSK. I bet that kid won't last 3 moves. 3 moves? In my opinion, that kid won't even be able to withstand a single move. Ningyu did not retreat. Instead, he advanced and fought with Yongsong, causing the crowd to exclaim in surprise. After all, no matter how one looked at it, Ningyu was definitely no match for Yongsong. A 7th-grade human sovereign defeating a 1st-grade Earth Sovereign was something that no one had ever imagined. Sister Yao, do you want to? Xiaqing also did not think that Ningyu could win. His gaze shifted towards Yao Qiong, wanting to seek her help. He killed Baijan. Yao Qiong replied calmly, Baijan is an exceptional genius of the Frigid Metal Sect. He is the hope of the Frigid Metal Sect's rise. Now that he has been killed by that brat, do you think the Frigid Metal Sect will let him go? Let's not talk about whether or not I can save him. Even if I save his life today, the Frigid Metal School will definitely not let this go. But Xiaqing opened her mouth when she heard Yao Qiong's words. She wanted to say something, but she chose to keep her mouth shut in the end. Yao Qiong was right. Baijan was the absolute genius of the Frost Metal Sect. Now that Baijan was dead, the Frigid Metal Sect would definitely not let the matter rest. He could only blame Ningyu for being too heavy-handed. If Ningyu had spared Baijan's life, there would have been room for reconciliation. As for now, it was a situation where they would not rest until one of them died. Bang! As the crowd exclaimed, Ningyu and Yongsong's fists collided. The 2 fists collided, and the 2 figures retreated rapidly. Whoosh! Whoosh! Judging from the distance, they had retreated. Ningyu and Yongsong were evenly matched and equally matched. Voila! This situation had obviously exceeded everyone's expectations. Everyone's jaws dropped as they looked at Ningyu in disbelief, as if they had seen a ghost. Am I seeing things? A 7th-grade Mortal Sovereign and a 1st-grade Earth Sovereign are evenly matched? You're not mistaken. This is the result. Impossible, I don't believe it. That brat must be pretending to be weak. Right. If I have not guessed incorrectly, the brat's cultivation is at least at the Earth Sovereign realm, or even a 2nd-grade Earth Sovereign realm. No wonder he could kill Baijan so easily. It turns out that he's an Earth Sovereign. Everyone revealed a look of relief. No matter how strong Baijan was, he was only a grade 7 mortal sovereign. If Ningyu's cultivation was at the Earth Sovereign realm, it would be easy for him to kill Baijan, even if he was the weakest first grade Earth Sovereign. I'm actually an Earth Supreme? Why didn't I know? Ningyu rolled his eyes, speechless. He was a genuine 7th grade human sovereign, but he never expected that he would become an Earth Sovereign in the hearts of the crowd. However, Ningyu did not intend to argue. He knew the gravity of the situation. Through his first fight with Yang Song, he had determined that Yang Song's strength was slightly weaker than his own. Without any external help, Yang Song would definitely die if the fight continued. Sapling, if an expert comes, remember to warn me. Taking a deep breath, Ningyu decided to have a good fight with Yang Song. As the saying goes, if you beat the young, the old will come. Since Yang Song had broken the rules, he did not mind teaching him a lesson. Swish! However, just when Ningyu and Yang Song were about to fight for the second time, a figure suddenly tore through the void and appeared in front of the Nebula Academy. Elder who? Yao Qiong was stunned when she saw the figure that suddenly appeared. Then she said, "Why are you here? Look at what you've done." The old man called Elder, who fiercely glared at Yao Qiong, then turned to Ningyu and Yang Song and said, "Both of you, if you have any grudges, please settle them in Nebula Academy. This place is better left for them to register." "All right, Hu Chang, I'll give you face." Yang Song did not make things difficult for Hu Chang. Instead, he moved and walked towards the Nebula Academy. "You see." Hu Chang looked at Yang Song, then at Ningyu. His meaning was clear. "I don't care." Shrugging, Ningyu walked into the Nebula Academy. However, when he reached Yao Qiong's side, Ningyu stopped and said in a low voice, "We agreed beforehand that the resources for me to enter the Tower of the Ascension of You will be provided by the Frost Metal Sect." After saying this, Ningyu did not say anything else and quickly walked into the Nebula Academy. Yao Qiong's body trembled, her eyes filled with disbelief. At this moment, a frightening thought appeared in Yao Qiong's mind. Perhaps Ningyu did not kill Yang Song because he wanted Yang Song to provide the resources for him to enter the Tower of the Ascension of You. As soon as this thought appeared, it lingered in Yao Qiong's mind and could not be erased. With her mind in a mess, Yao Qiong turned and entered the Nebula Academy. Continue with the registration. After dealing with the registration, Hu Chang entered the Nebula Academy to find a way to solve the problem between Ningyu and Yang Song. How troublesome! Along the way, Hu Chang felt a headache. The sect master of the Frost Metal Sect was a grade 3 Earth Sovereign. Unless it was absolutely necessary, the Nebula Academy did not want to offend the Frost Metal Sect. In fact, when Ningyu and Baijan were fighting, Hu Chang had been watching from the void, waiting for an opportunity to make a move. Unfortunately, Ningyu was too powerful. He killed Baijan with lightning speed, and even Hu Chang did not have the time to stop it. The reason why Hu Chang stopped the fight between Ningyu and Yang Song was that he did not want to offend the Frost Metal Sect or Ningyu. The fact that Ningyu was able to fight against a grade 1 Earth Sovereign with his grade 7 Earth Sovereign cultivation and even gain the upper hand was enough to show that his background was not simple. Perhaps Ningyu's background was frighteningly powerful. The Nebula Academy was huge, and there were many complicated buildings. After entering the Nebula Academy, Yang Song walked towards the martial arts practice field. In Yang Song's opinion, he and Ningyu would definitely have a big fight, and the venue would definitely be the martial arts practice field. Wait! However, Yang Song had only taken a few steps when Hu Chang caught up with him and said in a clear voice, "Elder Yang, in my opinion, there is no need to go to the martial arts practice field to settle the grudge between you two. Just settle it here." There were many cultivators at the martial arts practice field, and Hu Chang did not want to make a big deal out of it. After all, if the matter was blown out of proportion, it would greatly affect the reputation of the Nebula Academy. He must die. Yang Song stopped and said coldly, Baijan is the future hope of our frost metal sect. Now that he has been killed by that kid, our frost metal sect will not rest until he is dead. I'm close. I can feel that as long as I ascend to the 8th floor of the Tower of Transcendence, my soul power will immediately increase to the peak of the 8th layer. Ning Yu directly ignored Yang Song's words, and an excited expression appeared on his face. The Tower of Transcendence originally belonged to Ning Yu, and Ning Yu is very sensitive about the Tower of Transcendence. Chapter 1369. Chapter 1369. Chapter 1369. The Secrets of Alchemy Emperor. It's been 20 years. This is the first time the Yuzuan pagoda has moved. The middle-aged man's expression was solemn as he murmured, I don't believe that you were killed just like that. All these years, I've been trying to find out who attacked you. Don't worry, I will definitely find you no matter the price. Sha. Ning Yu had no idea what the middle-aged man was thinking. At this moment, he completely ignored Yang Song's cold words. Instead, he moved his feet and headed towards the Tower of the Ascension of Yuzu, relying on the senses that appeared in his mind. Where are you going? Seeing that Ning Yu wanted to leave, Yang Song's expression turned cold. He stomped his feet on the ground and charged forward. Damn it! Hu Chang's expression was equally ugly when he saw that Yang Song had ignored his advice and insisted on becoming enemies with Ning Yu. No matter what, he was still an elder of Nebula Academy, and he represented Nebula Academy. Yang Song did not even give him this little bit of face, which made him very angry. Fortunately, his conversation with Yang Song had not been heard by anyone else. Otherwise, how could he put his face if word got out? The more Hu Chang thought about it, the angrier he got. In the end, he even rushed forward. Whoosh! 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 In the Nebula Academy, an extremely special scene appeared. Ning Yu was in front, Yang Song was in the middle, and Hu Chang was at the back. The speed of the three of them was very fast, shuttling back and forth in the Nebula Academy. Isn't that Elder Hu? It is indeed Elder Hu. Who are the two people in front of him? One of them is Yang Song, the great elder of the Frost Metal sect. As for the other one, I've never seen him before. Even a well-informed person like you hasn't seen him. Could it be that he isn't someone from Nebula Academy? Look, Devil Yao is here too. The Tower of Ascension was located in the central plaza of Nebula Academy, so there were many students along the way. Ning Yu's group of 3 moved forward at full speed, which naturally attracted the attention of many students. Of course, everyone's attention was initially focused on Ning Yu, but as time passed, everyone shifted their attention to Yao Qiong. Yao Qiong was the devil-level student of Nebula Academy. She had always been the one to bully others. Others did not dare to bully her. Now, she was actually at the back and her face was filled with anger. Got it. Suddenly, a student shouted. It must be the young man at the front who took liberties with Devil Yao. Then, the great elder of the Frigid Metal sect and elder Hu Chang helped to chase after him. Now that you mention it, it's possible. Another student who was watching the show nodded and said, This is the first time Demon Yao has been so angry. What should we do? The students looked at each other in dismay. No one knew what to do. Of course it's to help the demon. As long as we help the demon catch that brat who took liberties with her, the demon won't make things difficult for us in the future. Yes. That's what we'll do. Go and intercept that kid. Go. Quickly go. If we're any slower, that kid will be captured by Elder Hu Chang and the others. Rumble. The students of Star Nebula Academy rushed forward and chased after Ning Yu. They wanted to encircle Ning Yu. Moreover, more and more people were coming. Let's go. That kid abandoned the demons. We have to seek justice for them. What? He actually dared to get Demon Yao pregnant. I think he's tired of living. What Demon Yao? You have to call her Sister Yao. Although Sister Yao is usually rough, no matter what, she is still my dream lover. Yao Qiong is your dream lover? Then what are you still standing there for? Hurry up and stop that kid. Teach him a lesson. Damn it, I'll go call people. We must bring him to justice today. The more the matter spread, the more outrageous it became. Pucci. At first, Yao Qiong secretly nodded when she saw the indignant expressions of the crowd. Who would have thought that everyone would slander her innocence? This almost made her spit out a mouthful of blood. Get lost. I'll cripple whoever dares to speak nonsense. Yao Qiong was furious. She felt that she had to stop these people. Let's go. Sister Yao is angry. We have to seek justice for her. Even if we have to go through water and tread on fire, we won't hesitate. Some students who were usually bullied by Yao Qiong hid in the crowd and fanned the flames. I'm so angry. Yao Qiong was so angry that her whole body was trembling. Her chest was heaving up and down. Stop right there. Yao Qiong took a deep breath and roared. Crack! 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 Yao Qiong's roar contained a terrifying yuan qi fluctuation that forced some of the weaker students to retreat. Some of the students who were at the blessed realm even had a few of their bones broken. The cultivation of these spectating students was mostly between the manifestation realm and the low-level sovereign realm. The high-level sovereign realm students of Nebula Academy did not participate at all. Don't let me catch up to you, or I'll definitely kill you. Yao Qiong was so angry that she even burned her blood essence to increase her speed. She only hoped to catch up to Ningyu as soon as possible. Turning back to look at the large group surrounding him, Ningyu's face was filled with black lines. It was beyond his expectations that things would turn out this way. However, seeing that the Tower of Yuzuan was right in front of him, Ningyu would definitely not stop at this time. Speed up! Gritting his teeth, Ningyu raised his speed to the limit. His body turned into a blur as he dashed out. Ningyu's increase in speed had shaken off many low-level sovereign realm cultivators. Even Yang Song and Hu Chang had pulled away from him. Bang! Before long, Ningyu stopped in front of a huge square tower, the Tower of Yuzuan. Raising his head to look at the familiar square tower, Ningyu's eyes blazed. Buzz! After Ningyu appeared, the Tower of Yuzuan seemed to tremble slightly, as if it wanted to suck Ningyu in. What's going on? At this moment, Hu Chang and the rest could no longer care about chasing Ningyu. They all stopped and looked at the Tower of Yuzuan in confusion. This was the first time the Tower of Yuzuan had trembled since Grandmaster Nebula took it out. Crack! When the Tower of Yuzuan trembled for 3 seconds, the space above it suddenly split open, and a blurry figure slowly walked out. It's Grandmaster Nebula. I didn't expect the Tower of Yuzuan's trembling to alarm Grandmaster Nebula. Nonsense, the Tower of Yuzuan belongs to Grandmaster Nebula. Its shaking will definitely alarm him. Swish! After Grandmaster Nebula appeared, he first looked at the Tower of Yuzuan and stabilized it. Then his gaze shifted and landed on Ningyu. A little special. Master Xing Yan's evaluation of Ning was only 4 words, and that was a little special. While Grandmaster Nebula was sizing up Ningyu was also sizing up Grandmaster Nebula. A pinnacle 9th grade alchemist, and he's already reached the 2nd step. Ningyu's expression was calm, but his heart was in turmoil. Although there weren't many pinnacle 9th grade alchemists in the entire Sky Demon domain, they weren't few either. However, it would be extremely difficult for these pinnacle 9th grade alchemists to advance to 10th grade alchemist. A pinnacle 9th grade alchemist could be called a pill emperor. If a pinnacle 9th grade alchemist wanted to advance to 10th grade alchemist, he would need to smoothly pass 3 stages. The first stage, chi to liquid. The second stage, chi to pill. Chapter 1370. Ascending the Ascension Tower in his previous life, Ningyu was a peak 9th grade alchemist on the surface, but in reality he had reached the stage of breaking through to the Emperor realm. With just one more step he could become a Pill Emperor and look down on the Sky Demon region. In the end he was besieged by 9 powerhouses and fell at the peak of the Sky Demon region. Ningyu did not expect that his disciple, whose talent in alchemy was not particularly outstanding, could reach this step and reach the stage of turning liquid into pills. You want to enter the Tower of Ascension. After a moment of silence, Grandmaster Xing Yun asked, "That's right. I want to enter the Tower of Ascension." Ningyu nodded. He did not lie. Why? Grandmaster Xing Yun's tone was calm, without any emotions. "I heard that the Tower of Ascension is very helpful for cultivating soul force. In all these years, no one from Nebula Academy has been able to ascend to the 8th floor, so I wanted to give it a try." Ningyu answered, "Arrogant. Who do you think you are? You want to ascend to the 8th floor? Grandmaster Xing Yun, please allow me to expel him from Nebula Academy. Even Yao Qiong couldn't ascend to the 8th floor, let alone you." Ningyu's words had clearly angered the crowd. Originally, everyone had a bad impression of Ningyu. Of course, this was all a rumor. After all, Ningyu did not flirt with Yao Qiong, nor did he abandon her. Grandmaster Xing Yun's gaze swept across the students. In an instant, many of them chose to remain silent. Angering Grandmaster Xing Yun would not end well for them. "What makes you think you can ascend to the 8th floor?" Grandmaster Xing Yun stared at Ningyu and asked. "Confidence." Ningyu's answer was very simple. Only one word, and that was confidence. Hearing Ningyu's words, many of the students of Nebula Academy showed a furious expression. However, with Grandmaster Xing Yun present, they could not do anything. "I'll give you a chance to enter the Tower of Ascension." Grandmaster Xing Yun waved his hand, and the entrance to the first level of the Transcendence Pagoda slowly opened. After the entrance of the first floor opened, Master Xing Yun's figure gradually became blurry. He was about to leave. Seeing that Grandmaster Xing Yun was about to leave, Yao Qiong said anxiously, "Master, I want to go in too." Master Xing Yun didn't even turn his head. He waved his hand and said, "Sure." "Thank you, Master." Yao Qiong's face was filled with gratitude. She snorted at Ningyu and quickly walked towards the entrance of the first level of the Tower of Yuzu. Ningyu's attention was not on Yao Qiong at all. Ever since the Yuzuin Pagoda opened, Ningyu discovered that Grandmaster Xing Yun had set up an array formation at the entrance to the first floor of the Yuzuin Pagoda. The array formation was very special. It only allowed the younger generation to enter. If older martial artists wanted to enter, they would be automatically ejected. Oh, right. At the entrance of the first floor, Ningyu stopped. He turned around and said to Hu Chang, "Get that guy from the Frost Metal sect to pay for the materials I need to enter the Tower of Yuzuin. After all, Baijan lost to me in a duel, so it's only right for him to F***CK." Before Ningyu could finish his sentence, he hastily entered the Tower of Yuzuin. He saw Yang Song's gloomy expression and that he was about to make a move. Fight with Yang Song here? Ning, you didn't have that kind of time. His main task was to enter the Tower of Yuzuin and reach the 8th floor. If he fought with Yang Song here, the consequences would be unimaginable. Not to mention the delay. If he incurred Grandmaster Xing Yun's displeasure, he wouldn't be able to enter the Tower of Yuzuin. Moving his feet, Ningyu entered the Tower of Yuzuin without looking back. Rumble. After Ningyu and Yao Qiong entered the Tower of Yuzuin, the entrance of the Tower of Yuzuin closed with a loud bang. The first floor of the Tower of Yuzuin was a sealed room. There was nothing inside, and it looked rather desolate. Ningyu didn't stop. He went straight to the center of the room, clenched his right fist, and punched the ground. Kacha! Ningyu's punch was extremely powerful, and its might was extremely terrifying. A huge crack appeared on the ground, and several black figures dashed out from the crack. "What are you doing?" Yao Qiong shouted when she saw Ningyu's actions. "Nothing. I just want to enter the second floor as soon as possible." After entering the Tower of Yuzuan, Ningyu didn't hide anymore. He wanted to enter the 8th floor as soon as possible. In this world, no one understood the Tower of Yuzuan better than Ningyu. Ningyu believed that even Grandmaster Xingyan, his previous life's disciple, didn't know many of the Tower of Yuzuan's secrets. To enter the 2nd floor, we need to wait here for a few minutes. The entrance to the 2nd floor will open automatically. Yao Qiong shouted angrily. Yao Qiong had entered the 1st floor of the Tower of Yuzuan many times. After many tries, Yao Qiong figured out the situation. She didn't need to do anything in the first 3 floors of the Tower of Yuzuan. All she needed to do was wait, and she would be able to pass through them. Only at the 4th floor would there be danger. Now that Ningyu was attacking the ground, it actually attracted many black figures. Take a few steps back and be careful. Ningyu took out the red demon sword and slashed at the black figures. Uft, uft, uft. The creatures on the 1st level of the Transcendence Pagoda were relatively weak, so Ningyu quickly killed them. Absorb. After dealing with the black figures, Ningyu controlled the red demon sword and devoured them. Creak! The black figures disappeared, and the entrance to the 2nd floor slowly opened. Looking at the entrance, Yao Qiong's mouth was slightly agape. She was slightly shocked. In the past, she would always wait for the entrance to the 2nd floor to open. She didn't expect it to be like this. The Tower of Yuzuan is very special. Although we can pass the first 3 floors by just waiting, these black figures are great nourishment. We can't miss them. As if seeing Yao Qiong's doubt, Ningyu explained. Gulp. Yao Qiong swallowed a mouthful of saliva and asked doubtfully, "What are those black figures?" "Soul force wrapped in Yuan Qi." Ningyu said, "The Tower of Yuzuan can help cultivate soul force. Anyone with soul force of any level will be able to cultivate faster. Although the soul force of the black figures in the first 3 floors is weaker, it's still meat. We can't waste it." As he spoke, Ningyu walked towards the 2nd floor. Those black figures are soul force wrapped in Yuan Qi. So that's how it is. Yao Qiong was shocked. On the 4th floor of the Tower of Yuzuan, a soul figure would appear. As long as one could defeat the soul figure, they would be able to pass the 4th floor. Yao Qiong seemed to be enlightened. In the past, she had to spend a lot of effort to kill the soul figures. Whatever the tower rewarded her, she would passively accept. She had never thought of devouring those soul figures. Since there was nothing wrong with Ningyu's actions, she made up her mind to devour those soul figures when they reached the 2nd floor. She couldn't let Ningyu take all the advantages. After all, in Yao Qiong's opinion, Grandmaster Xingyan had her follow Ningyu in order to keep an eye on Ningyu. Chapter 1371. The first 3 levels, the 2nd level of the Yuezun Pagoda, lit up. The 2 of them should have entered the 2nd level. Outside the Yuezun Pagoda, an early-stage manifestation realm student widened his eyes and exclaimed, "Swish!" This student's words attracted everyone's attention. The Yuezun Pagoda was special. Whichever level was occupied, that level would light up. Now that the 2nd level was lit up, it meant that Ningyu and Yao Qiong were on the 2nd level. What's the big deal? Even a true realm martial artist can easily reach the first 3 floors of the Transcending Pagoda. Yang Song of the Frost Metal sect curled his lips in disdain. The Yuezun Pagoda was a specialty of Nebula Academy. As the first elder of the Frost Metal sect, Yang Song naturally knew about it. You can't put it that way. The Manifestation Realm student who had just spoken said, although anyone can ascend to the first 3 levels of the Ascension Tower, everyone, including the peerless geniuses of Nebula Academy, spent twice as much time to ascend from the first to the second level compared to Yao Qiong. If you didn't mention it, I wouldn't have thought of it. In the past, Yao Qiong took around 3 minutes to reach the second level. How come she only took a minute this time? That's right. Isn't it a little unrealistic to reach the second level in a minute? Could it be that Yao Qiong sped up to spite that kid? Absolutely impossible. The previous times Yao Qiong entered the Yuezuan pagoda, she gave it her all and only took 3 minutes to reach the second level. Are you trying to say that the kid showed off his prowess and reached the second level in a minute? Boom! The last student's words caused everyone to look at each other. If that was the case, then wasn't Ningyu too abnormal? Reaching the second level of the Yuezuan pagoda in a minute was simply unprecedented. The discussions of the students caused Yang Song's face to turn ashen and bloodless. Sabotage. The students of Nebula Academy publicly sabotaged him, which made him very unhappy. Just you wait, the fourth level. You definitely won't be able to reach the fourth level. Yang Song revealed a cold expression between his brows as he said viciously, "Swish." At this moment, the third level of the Yuezuan pagoda lit up once more. It had only been a minute since the second level of the Ascension Tower lit up. The first 3 levels are just appetizers. I wonder when Yao Qiong and the rest will reach the fourth level. Many students stared fixedly at the fourth level of the Ascension Pagoda, waiting to see when Ningyu and Yao Qiong would reach it. At the same time, on the third level of the Transcendence Tower, Yao Qiong had a solemn look on her face as she stared at the stone door that had appeared before her. If I want to enter the fourth floor, I need to defeat the 2 soul shadows behind the stone door. Creak! As Yao Qiong's voice fell, the stone door slowly opened and 2 illusory figures flew out. A soul phantom with 4th grade soul power. Looking at the 2 soul phantoms that had suddenly appeared, Ningyu was stunned at first. Then he said in a low voice, as expected from the 4th floor onwards, "Every test is different." In the past, Ningyu had also entered the Tower of Ascension and reached the 9th level. From the 4th level onwards, the test they encountered each time was different. The test this time could not be said to be difficult, but it was not easy either. As long as they could defeat a soul phantom with 4th grade soul power, they would be able to reach the 4th level. Don't look down on the fact that the other party was only a soul phantom with 4th grade soul power. One must know that soul power was suppressed here. In other words, Ningyu and Yao Qiong's soul power could only reach 4th grade soul power. If they won, they would enter the 4th level. If they lost, they would have to rest here and would have another chance to challenge in half an hour. Scared? Seeing the change in Ningyu's expression, Yao Qiong's lips curled. She dashed out and charged towards one of the soul phantoms. "I'll go first and wait for you in the 4th level." Before leaving, Yao Qiong did not forget to kindly remind Ningyu, "Let's see how strong Yao Qiong is for now." Ningyu was not in a hurry to fight against the soul phantom. Instead, he crossed his arms and looked at Yao Qiong quietly. Everyone would change. Facing Master Xingyan, Ningyu did not dare to let his guard down. 20 years had passed, and if Master Xingyan's temperament changed, he would be done for. Therefore, Ningyu tried to hide as much as possible. Unless it was absolutely necessary, he would not expose himself. Rumble. On the 3rd level of the Yuezuan Pagoda, Yao Qiong was already fighting with the soul phantom. Yao Qiong's foundation was very solid. Although her soul power was suppressed to 4th grade, it was not difficult to deal with a 4th grade soul phantom. Yao Qiong should be able to defeat this soul phantom in 5 minutes and enter the 4th level. Slightly frowning, Ningyu murmured, "Let Yao Qiong go first. I'll go later." From the 4th level onwards, the space would be completely different. In other words, even if Ningyu and Yao Qiong entered the 4th level at the same time, they would be teleported to different spaces. Therefore, There was no difference between entering the 4th level earlier or later. Crack! Time continued to pass, and soon 5 minutes had passed. When the 6th minute arrived, Yao Qiong's soul power turned into the shape of a flying sword and destroyed the soul phantom. Since Yao Qiong had witnessed how terrifying Ningyu was on the 1st level of the Yuezuan pagoda, she did not hesitate to devour the soul phantom after defeating it. I'll make a move first. Yao Qiong shot a provocative look at Ningyu before she went to the other side of the stone door. Look, the 4th level of the Yuezuan pagoda lit up. Someone entered the 4th level. Don't tell me that Brat and Yao Qiong entered the 4th level together? You better be careful. The light on the 3rd level hasn't disappeared yet. This means that the Brat and Yao Qiong are on the 3rd and 4th level respectively. Then who's on the 3rd and 4th level? Of course, Yao Qiong is on the 4th level, and the Brat is on the 3rd level. The 4th level lit up, and the entire square became lively. Everyone discussed among themselves, but no one was optimistic about Ningyu. In their opinion, Yao Qiong was the one who entered the 4th level, and Ningyu was the one who stayed on the 3rd level. Hee, what did I say just now? That Brat will return to his original state once he enters the 3rd level. Yang Song finally found a chance to mock him. He sneered, In my opinion, that kid will definitely be trapped in the 3rd level of the Tower of Transcendence until he's teleported out. That makes sense. Surprisingly, no one argued with Yang Song this time, because everyone had the feeling that great minds think alike. Arguing with Yang Song was the same as denying themselves. No one could afford to lose face like this. Wait, the light on the 3rd level has disappeared. Suddenly, a student pointed at the 3rd floor of the Tower of Yuzu and shouted. Chapter 1372. Pressure. That's right, that kid will definitely be teleported out. When he comes out, should we go up? Of course, why not? We need to teach him a lesson and let him know how powerful our Nebula Academy is. Many students rubbed shoulders and made up their minds. As long as Ningyu left, they would make a move and teach Ningyu a lesson. 5 minutes passed. There was no movement from the Tower of Yuzuan. No one was teleported out. 10 minutes passed. The Tower of Yuzuan was still as calm as ever. Ningyu was still not teleported out. As time passed, the faces of the students became uglier and uglier. 10 minutes ago, they were still clamoring to teach Ningyu a lesson. Now, 10 minutes had passed, and Ningyu was still in the Tower of Yuzuan. Elder, Hu, quickly contact Grandmaster Nebula and tell him that there's a problem with the Tower of Yuzuan. That's right, Elder Hu, it's been 10 minutes, and that kid still hasn't been teleported out. There must be a problem with the Tower of Yuzuan. It's already a blessing for that kid to reach the 3rd floor. The 4th floor, there's no way he can enter. The students of Nebula Academy still couldn't see the reality in front of them. They all cried out in search of psychological comfort. All of you, shut up. Hu Chang's face was cold as he roared. There can't be a problem with the Tower of Yuzuan. The light on the 3rd floor disappeared, and that kid hasn't been teleported out. There's only one possibility, and that is that he entered the 4th floor. Crash! Hu Chang's words caused everyone's expression to change. Their eyes widened as they felt ashamed. Not long ago, they were confident that Ningyu would be teleported out. Although 10 minutes had passed and Ningyu was still in the Tower of Yuzuan, they found another excuse. There was a problem with the Tower of Yuzuan. Now that they heard Hu Chang's words, everyone's faces turned ugly. They felt like they had been F***ed. The one with the ugliest expression was Yang Song of the Frost Metal sect. He was the one who shouted the loudest and even started thinking about how to deal with Ningyu. Who would have thought that he would get such an answer? Elder Hu, could there be another situation? Yang Song did not give up and continued to ask. Hu Chang glanced at Yang Song and said indifferently, There is indeed another situation. Yang Song wasn't the only one who heaved a sigh of relief. Even the students looked relieved, as if a heavy burden had been lifted from their shoulders. No matter what, as long as Ningyu didn't enter the 4th level of the Tower of Yuzuin, they wouldn't be embarrassed. However, Hu Chang's following words caused Yang Song and the others to be dumbfounded. Their faces were filled with bitterness. The other possibility is that the first person to enter the 4th level of the Tower of Yuzuin is that kid, and the second person to enter the 4th level is Yao Qiong. Hu Chang swept his gaze across the students and said in a deep voice, "Don't bite off more than you can chew. There's always someone better out there." Got it. After being reprimanded by Hu Chang, many students lowered their heads. At this point, they had no choice but to admit that Ningyu was indeed capable. It was no wonder why Yao Qiong was so angry, forcing her to enter the Tower of Yuzuin with him. The students of Nebula Academy were reprimanded by Hu Chang, but they didn't feel anything wrong with it. However, when these words entered Yang Song's ears, it caused his face to burn. It was a very uncomfortable feeling. No matter what, he was the Grand Elder of the Frost Metal Sect, a 1st-grade Earth Sovereign. Hu Chang's cultivation was the same as his, but he dared to reprimand him. Damn it, I have to contact the sect master and get him to make a trip here personally. Yang Song's face was cold as he waved his sleeve, shattering a crystal ball. Crack! After the crystal ball shattered, a faint cold light drilled into the void and disappeared in an instant. You have to pay the price for killing someone from the Frost Metal Sect, even with the protection of Nebula Academy. Yang Song clenched his fists tightly, and an extremely cold expression appeared on his face. Rumble. The 4th level of the Tower of Yuzuin Ningyu was speechless as he looked at the soul silhouette before him. His luck was really good. On the 3rd floor, he encountered a soul shadow, and on the 4th floor, he also encountered a soul shadow. Generally speaking, the soul silhouettes in the Tower of Yuzuin were the easiest to deal with. That's because the soul force of the cultivators that entered the Tower of Yuzuin wasn't weak. Even if their soul force was suppressed to the same level, they would still have battle experience. Under this condition, it wasn't too difficult to defeat a soul silhouette of the same level. With a wave of his wrist, Ningyu forced out a strand of soul force and blasted it at the soul silhouette before him. Crack! Under Ningyu's powerful attack, the soul silhouette didn't last long before it was devoured by Ningyu. The Tower of Yuzuin is indeed a good place to cultivate soul force. After devouring the soul silhouette, Ningyu didn't stop and directly entered the 5th level of the Tower of Yuzuin. On the 5th level, Ningyu's test wasn't to defeat the soul silhouette, but to refine a grade 5 elixir. Refining elixirs wasn't a problem for Ningyu, since the Tower of Yuzuin had already prepared the ingredients. Ningyu only used 5 minutes to refine a grade 5 elixir. If it wasn't for Ningyu's pursuit of supreme grade elixirs, he would probably only need 2 to 3 minutes to refine it. The 6th level of the Tower of Yuzuin suddenly became more difficult. Not only did he have to refine a grade 6 elixir within the stipulated time, he also had to defeat 6 cultivators. Three soul silhouettes. 3 cultivators formed from Yuan Qi. Without some skill, it would be hard to pass this level, because the cultivators formed from Yuan Qi were all in the 6th grade human supreme realm. The probability of such a test appearing was very low. Even in his previous life, Ningyu didn't encounter many of them. It could be said that if Yao Qiong encountered such a test, she would also be defeated. Refining a grade 6 elixir wasn't a problem for Yao Qiong. Fighting with 3 soul silhouettes wasn't a problem for Yao Qiong either. Defeating 3 grade 6 human supreme realm cultivators wasn't a problem for Yao Qiong either. The only difficulty was doing all 3 at the same time, and within the stipulated time. According to Ningyu's estimation, in the entire Nebula Academy, there weren't more than 3 cultivators that could pass this test. Stipulated time, 3 minutes. A mechanical voice rang in the 6th level of the Tower of Yuzuin. Swish! Hearing the voice, Ningyu didn't say anything and immediately flew out, sat on the round table, and started refining elixirs. Now that things had come to this, Ningyu no longer pursued supreme great elixirs. As long as he could refine a grade 6 elixir, even if it was a low-grade one, it would be a victory. After all, he only had 3 minutes, and Ningyu couldn't afford to squander it. Swish! 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 As Ningyu was refining elixirs, 3 soul silhouettes charged at Ningyu from 3 different directions. Go! With a thought, Ningyu split his soul force into 3 and fought with the 3 soul silhouettes. Swish! 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 After the soul silhouettes attacked, the 3 grade 6 human supreme realm cultivators didn't stay idle either. They attacked Ningyu from another direction. For a moment, Ningyu was a little flustered. Chapter 1373. The Other Me Outside the Tower of Yuezhuin. Everyone stared at the Tower of Yuezhuin suspiciously. A moment later, a student said to Hu Chang, "Elder Hu, the 5th and 6th levels have both lit up. Which level do you think Yao Qiong is on?" Swish! The student's words made everyone's gaze turn to Hu Chang. The fact that the 5th and 6th levels lit up at the same time meant that there were people on both levels. If not for Hu Chang's words, everyone would have assumed that Yao Qiong was on the 6th level and Ningyu was on the 5th. But now, no one dared to say anything. "I don't know either." Taking a deep breath, Hu Chang slowly shook his head and said, "Based on Yao Qiong's previous visits to the Tower of Ascension, it's impossible for her to be on any level." "She can't be on either level? What do you mean?" Yang Song was stunned for a moment before he shamelessly walked over and asked. When Yao Qiong reached the 5th level of the Tower of Yuzuin a few times before, the fastest she used was an hour. Hu Chang explained, this time when the 5th level lit up, only 40 minutes had passed. Time doesn't mean anything, right? Maybe Yao Qiong's condition is very good today, Yang Song said. I can't rule out that possibility. Hu Chang didn't want to talk back to Yang Song. In fact, Hu Chang didn't say one thing. Grandmaster Xing Yin once said that the higher one's talent, the faster one could ascend the first 5 levels. Yao Qiong's talent was fixed, and her limit was 40 minutes. In other words, if Yao Qiong was on the 5th level, then Ningyu was on the 6th level. What's his background? Why is his strength and talent so abnormal? Hu Chang took a deep breath and murmured, if he could join Nebula Academy, it would be great news for the Academy. Look, someone reached the 7th level. Suddenly, a student pointed at the pagoda and shouted, following the direction of the student's palm. Everyone noticed that the 7th level was shining brightly. Clearly, someone had reached the 7th level. The light on the 6th level hasn't been extinguished. Another student yelled. Everyone looked over and saw that the light on the 5th level had been extinguished, but the light on the 6th level hadn't. Everyone was well aware of this situation. Those who were originally on the 6th floor went to the 7th floor, while those who were on the 5th floor went to the 6th floor. The only uncertainty was whether Ningyu or Yao Qiong was on the 7th floor or the 6th floor. It must be Yao Qiong on the 7th floor. I believe in her. The student who supported Yao Qiong said, I don't think so. That Brett isn't simple. After all, he's someone that even Elder Hu and the Great Elder of the Frost Metal sect couldn't catch up to. Some students who were not afraid of death refuted. Isn't that obvious? Yao Qiong is a pinnacle 9th grade sovereign with a late phase 8th grade soul force. Isn't it natural for her to easily ascend to the 7th level of the Yuzuin pagoda? The student that supported Yao Qiong sneered. Haha, that brat even dared to kill Baijan. Furthermore, he was able to exchange pointers with the Frost Metal sect's Great Elder. I believe that the one on the 7th floor is definitely that brat. The students who supported Ning Yu argued. The students of Nebula Academy were instantly divided into two camps. One supported Yao Qiong, while the other stood on Ning Yu's side. The student that supported Ning Yu even said to Hu Chang, "Elder Hu, I feel that a peerless genius like that brat should join our Nebula Academy." "That's right, we must attract him to Nebula Academy. As long as he joins Nebula Academy, Yao Qiong will have a worthy opponent. She won't bully us anymore." The situation was very clear. The students that supported Ning Yu were often bullied by Yao Qiong in Nebula Academy. Now that a heaven-defying genius that could contend against Yao Qiong had appeared, everyone's thoughts were surprisingly unanimous. They wanted to recruit Ning Yu into Nebula Academy. Absolutely not. The student that supported Yao Qiong said coldly, Nebula Academy's recruitment must go through a strict examination. Although that brat has some skills, he's still lacking if he wants to enter Nebula Academy. The people from the two camps looked like they were about to attack. Hu Chang was having a headache. In fact, he also wanted to recruit Ning Yu into Nebula Academy. However, now that the two camps were opposing each other, it was not good for him to express his support. Otherwise, it would not be easy for him to clean up the mess. "Stop messing around. Watch first." Taking a deep breath, Hu Chang said in a clear voice that Brat and Yao Qiong entered the Tower of Ascension this time. "Grandmaster Xingyan is watching. If you guys mess around here and Grandmaster Xingyan sees you, you are destined to suffer." Swoosh! Hu Chang's words had a great effect. Grandmaster Xingyan was watching? They were all students of Nebula Academy. If they were targeted by Grandmaster Xingyan, it would not be as simple as suffering. Although Grandmaster Xingyan was not the dean of Nebula Academy, he was the founder of Nebula Academy. Nebula Academy was established less than 20 years ago. For it to be able to develop to this level, it was inseparable from Grandmaster Xingyan. Grandmaster Xingyan was a peak 9th grade alchemist. His alchemy level was already at the peak of the Sky Demon region. In the entire Dan-Qing continent, there were countless martial artists that had received Grandmaster Xingyan's favor. Otherwise, how could Nebula Academy become a transcendent existence in the Thousand-Leaf Empire? In order to win over Grandmaster Xingyan, the current king of the Thousand-Leaf Empire directly bestowed Nebula City to Grandmaster Xingyan. He will never join Nebula Academy. No one noticed that Yang Song's right hand was clenched so tightly that he did not even notice his fingernails digging into his flesh. Inform the sect master. Let him find a way to contact the higher-ups of Emperor Palace. We must put pressure on Nebula Academy. Yang Song crushed another crystal ball and told the Frost Metal Sect Master everything that had happened here in detail. Only by making preparations in advance could one be prepared. After the quarrel, everyone looked toward the 8th floor. Over the years, many martial artists had reached the 7th floor, but no one had ever reached the 8th floor. Could it be that the record would be broken today? The 7th floor of the Yuzuan Pagoda. Ning Yu did not know what was happening outside. He had already reached the 7th floor of the Yuzuan Pagoda. As long as he could advance one step further, he could reach the 8th floor. The 8th floor of the Yuzuan Pagoda contained an ancient array that Ning Yu had left behind in his previous life. Once the array was activated, Ning Yu's soul force would rise from late-stage 8th grade to peak 8th grade. Apart from the increase in soul force, Ning Yu's physique would also be improved by the array. His strength might even rise to peak 7th grade or even 8th grade. Shaking his head, Ning Yu discarded the thoughts in his mind. Taking a step forward, Ning Yu asked in a deep voice, "What is the condition to enter the 8th floor?" Crack! As Ning Yu's words fell, the void in front of him suddenly split open. Soon after, a thin figure slowly walked out from the void. This is Chapter 1374. Undefeatable? Defeat me, and you can enter the 8th floor. In midair, the thin figure said, Who are you? Ning Yu's expression was solemn as he asked, Who am I? The skinny figure smiled strangely and said, Am I not you? If you are me, then who am I? Ning Yu frowned. You are you and I am you. With that, the thin figure disappeared like a ghost. In the next instant, the thin figure appeared in front of Ning Yu. His right hand clenched into a fist and punched at Ning Yu. Bang! At this critical moment, Ning Yu couldn't care less. He also clenched his right fist and punched out. The two fists collided, the huge impact causing Ning Yu and the thin figure to retreat at the same time. In this strike, both sides were evenly matched. You only have half an hour. After that move, the thin figure did not stop attacking. Instead, he clenched his fists and fought with Ning Yu again. Rumble. On the 7th floor of the Yuzuin Pagoda, Ning Yu and the thin figure used their full strength. Ning Yu wanted to defeat the thin figure and enter the 8th floor of the Yuzuin Pagoda, but the thin figure had to stall Ning Yu for half an hour. It should be another me, cloned by the Yuzuin Pagoda. Ning Yu's expression was extremely solemn. In just a few moves, he had already determined the thin figure's strength. He was on par with him. It was to the extent that the thin cultivator could even execute the supreme 9 purities sword art and netherworld samsara palm. This was a complete clone. Red demon sword. With a thought, Ning Yu took out the red demon sword. The red demon sword's grade was very high, and Ning Yu did not believe that the Yuzuin Pagoda could clone another red demon sword. Uft. However, when the thin martial artist took out another red demon sword, Ning Yu almost spat out a mouthful of blood. What grade is the Yuzuin Pagoda? Emperor rank? Saint level? Ning Yu was extremely shocked. The fact that it could even clone the red demon sword was enough to show how terrifying the Tower of the Supremacy of Yu was. Seeing that time was running out, Ning Yu's expression became more and more unsightly. Not only did the thin cultivator master all the martial techniques and magic treasures that Ning Yu had mastered, but he even knew Ning Yu's attack methods like the back of his hand. On several occasions, Ning Yu was almost defeated by the thin martial artist. How do we fight this? Ning Yu's eyes turned as he quickly thought of a countermeasure. Normal methods would not be able to defeat the thin martial artist. At this moment, he could only think of another way. It's useless. Whatever you know, I know. Whatever you don't, I know too. What do you have to fight me? The corners of the skinny cultivator's mouth curled into a sinister smile as he said, Let me give you a piece of advice. Go back to where you came from. The 8th floor of the Ascension Tower is not a place you can touch. Whoosh! At this point, not only did Ning Yu not get angry, he even calmed down. The test this time was the toughest he had ever faced. In his previous life, Ning Yu had gone through many tests from the 7th floor to the 8th floor. It could be said that none of the previous tests could compare to this one. Defeat his other self? Moreover, it would be a battle experience, martial techniques, and weapons that were exactly the same as him. It was harder than ascending to the heavens. Since ancient times, how many people have defeated their other self? Taking a deep breath, Ning Yu said solemnly, 3. The thin cultivator raised 3 fingers and said, 1 is a pinnacle 9th grade human supreme, 1 is a pinnacle 9th grade earth supreme, and the last is... At this point, the thin cultivator shook his head and said, The 3rd cultivator to defeat himself has an extremely high cultivation. You might not be able to reach it in this lifetime. Since someone can defeat himself, I can definitely do it too. Taking a deep breath, Ning Yu said coldly, As someone who had lived 2 lives, there was no reason for him to lose to those people. Good luck. The thin cultivator shrugged and said, Fight me when you think of a way. The thin cultivator's task was to last for half an hour. If Ning Yu had not defeated him in half an hour, then Ning Yu would be declared to have lost. Therefore, The thin cultivator was not in a hurry to fight Ningyu. The one who was in a hurry was Ningyu. Right? Use the law of space. Suddenly, Ningyu's heart stirred, and he summoned out spatial law. Law of space, don't waste your energy. I have it too. In midair, the thin cultivator saw the law of space floating in front of Ningyu and curled his lips. Then he formed a hand seal and summoned a law of space. My law of space has developed its own consciousness. Ningyu shouted coldly. I'm sorry, my law of space has also developed its own consciousness. The thin cultivator smiled apologetically and said. Ningyu was speechless. How was he supposed to fight? You have everything I have, and you're even stronger than me. At this time, Ningyu admired those cultivators who could defeat him. Needless to say, every cultivator who could defeat him was definitely a genius among geniuses. Their future achievements were limitless. Tick. As time passed, Ningyu was thinking of a countermeasure. In the blink of an eye, 25 minutes passed. There are 5 minutes left. The thin cultivator kindly reminded Ningyu, if you don't have the confidence, you should leave as soon as possible. The next time you come to this floor, you might not meet me, and you might encounter a simple test condition. Leaving now is not my style. You did not intend to give up. With a thought, he began to contact the sapling. After 20 minutes of thinking, Ningyu basically guessed the way to defeat his other self. In terms of martial strength, there was no way to win, no matter who came. If he wanted to win, he had to rely on external forces. In other words, he had to have something that the Tower of Yuzuin could not clone. Otherwise, even an Earth or Sky Supreme wouldn't be able to win. It was like lifting oneself up with pure strength. No one could do that. Sapling. Ningyu began to contact the sapling, asking it to come out and deal with his other self. What? Don't bother me if there's nothing else. The sapling's impatient voice reached Ningyu's ears. At this time, the sapling was studying the branch of the world that Empyrean 100 Flowers had given them. Originally, devouring the branch could raise its cultivation to the 3rd grade Earth Supreme level. But the sapling did not have the guts for the time being. For some reason, the sapling felt that there was something wrong with the branch, but it could not point out what was wrong. I need you to help me deal with someone at the 7th grade Human Supreme level. Ningyu said in a low voice, 7th grade Human Supreme level? I don't have the time. You should deal with a mere 7th grade Human Supreme level yourself. The sapling was furious. He was in a critical period, but Ningyu was asking for his help for such a small matter. Chapter 1375. I can't. Ningyu's provocation worked. Ningyu's goading method really worked. The sapling placed the world tree branch that Heavenly Venerate 100 Flowers had given it into the box before flying out of the storage ring in a blur. Let's see which 7th grade human sovereign is this strong. The sapling's gaze swept across the 7th floor of the Transcendence Pagoda before landing on the skinny cultivator. The expert Ningyu mentioned is you? Aside from your resemblance to Ningyu, that's about it. The skinny cultivator finally lost his composure when he saw the sapling. He realized that he couldn't clone the sapling. In other words, after so many years, something that couldn't be cloned had appeared. The skinny cultivator had to take this seriously. The first 3 cultivators that defeated him had all taken out treasures that couldn't be cloned by the Pagoda of Transcendence. Now that Ningyu had taken out such a treasure, could it be that Ningyu could also win? There's only 5 minutes left. There's not enough time. The thin cultivator felt slightly relieved. After all, there were still 5 minutes left before the half-an-hour deadline. The thin martial artist was confident that he could hold on for 5 minutes. 1 minute is enough to defeat you. The sapling was furious. He could display the strength of a pinnacle 2nd grade Earth Sovereign. Yet the fake Ningyu said that he couldn't win in 5 minutes? That was simply a fantasy. The sapling used its full strength in its first attack. Bang! Under the powerful attack of the sapling, the skinny cultivator was not even able to block the first move. His body was sent flying backwards. You've lost. Seeing the thin cultivator being sent flying, Ningyu hurriedly said, I haven't lost yet. The skinny cultivator wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. I said defeat me, kill me. Another minute has passed. You only have 4 minutes left. Ha ha ha. The skinny cultivator laughed, but it was a bitter laugh. Let's attack together. Ningyu was confident in his own strength. Although he couldn't defeat a second-grade Earth Sovereign, it wouldn't be difficult for him to last 4 minutes. If he wanted to enter the 8th level of the Tower of Yuzuin, he could only succeed if he joined forces with the sapling. Otherwise, it would all be for naught. No problem. The sapling's thoughts were not that saintly. As long as it could win, who cared how many people besieged it? Rumble. Ningyu and the sapling worked together, and soon it was effective. Ningyu restrained the thin martial artist from the front, while the sapling launched a sneak attack from behind. Powerful martial artists were not scary. What was scary was that they were powerful and knew how to sneak attack. Under the pincer attack of Ningyu and the sapling, the thin martial artist was quickly defeated. Congratulations! You are the 4th cultivator to defeat yourself in the Ascension Supremacy's pagoda. The moment before his death, the skinny cultivator said to Ningyu, I can tell you that the first 3 cultivators who defeated themselves will have limitless achievements in the future. I hope you will not be arrogant in the future and climb to the heights of the first 3, one step at a time. With that, the eyes of the thin martial artist rolled over, and he died on the spot. Chi-chi. After the thin martial artist died, his body turned into an afterimage and fused with the air. I'm leaving first. Don't bother me if there's nothing important. The sapling's figure flashed and entered the storage ring in the blink of an eye. To be honest, Ningyu was very grateful that the sapling could take time out of its busy schedule to help him. Creak! As soon as the sapling entered the storage ring, the door to the 8th level of the Tower of Yuzuin slowly opened. Ningyu did not immediately enter the 8th level of the Tower of Yuzuin. Instead, he sat down cross-legged and began to cultivate. Ningyu had expended a lot of energy fighting the thin martial artist. If he entered the 8th level without recovering to peak condition, he would definitely encounter danger. Therefore, Ningyu had to adjust his mental state to peak condition before entering the 8th level of the Tower of Yuzuin. Swish! Outside the Tower of Yuzuin, the quarreling had already stopped. Everyone's gaze landed on the 8th level of the Tower of Yuzuin. Ever since Grandmaster Xingyin took out the Tower of Yuzuin, no one had been able to reach the 8th level. Even someone as powerful as Yao Qiong could only reach the 7th level. This time, someone had a chance to reach the 8th level, so everyone would definitely be watching without blinking. The light on the 6th level has been extinguished. After a few minutes, a student suddenly pointed at the 6th level of the Tower of Yuzuin and exclaimed. Following the direction of the student's hand, everyone discovered that the light on the 6th level of the Tower of Yuzuin had indeed been extinguished. The light on the 6th level had been extinguished, but no one had come out from the Tower of Yuzuin. Clearly, someone from the 6th level of the Tower of Ascension had entered the 7th level. I didn't expect that kid to also reach the 7th level. Seeing the light on the 6th level extinguished, the student who supported Yao Qiong sighed. What do you mean by that kid has also reached the 7th level? Or rather, Yao Qiong has finally reached the 7th level. The student who supported Ningyu said unhappily. Is there even a need to think about it? That kid must have gotten some dogshit luck. Otherwise, how could he have reached the 7th level? The student who supported Yao Qiong curled his lips and said, Do you guys really think that kid's soul force has reached the 7th grade? That's right. I admit that kid's martial strength is very strong, but it doesn't mean that his soul force is strong. Another student who supported Yao Qiong added, the higher the level of the Tower of Yuzuan, the stronger Yao Qiong's soul force will be. Yes, without reaching the 7th grade, it will be very difficult to reach the 7th level. I agree with Xiao Hu. That kid must have gotten some dogshit luck. The students who supported Yao Qiong gradually gained the upper hand and became the absolute leader. Until now, even the students who supported Ning Yu were somewhat hesitant. Ning Yu's martial strength was indeed strong. But what about his soul force? Could it be like what Xiao Hu said, that he had not reached the 7th grade? Kacha! Just as everyone was debating, the void above Nebula Academy suddenly split open, and an old man slowly appeared in front of everyone. Who? Seems like someone from the Frost Metal sect. I know, this is the sect master of the Frost Metal sect, called Frost Metal Pillar. Frost Metal Pillar? Are you sure you're not messing with me? How could someone have this name? Don't say that Frost Metal Pillar is the sect master of the Frost Metal sect, a 3rd grade Earth Supreme. Provoking him won't do our Nebula Academy any good. What's there to be afraid of? Grandmaster Nebula isn't any weaker than him. The discussion of the students did not affect Yang Song. When Frost Metal Pillar appeared, his face was filled with ecstasy, and he leaped into the air. Sect Master, you're finally here, Yang Song said. Baijan was killed. I don't want to hear your explanation. Go back and receive your punishment. Frost Metal Pillar had a tall figure, and a cold expression appeared on his face. He interrupted Yang Song and said, Where's that kid? Yang Song's heart skipped a beat when he heard Frost Metal Pillar's reprimand. Yang Song knew very well what punishment Frost Metal Pillar was talking about. It was the Frost Metal sect's terrifying punishment. However, Yang Song turned his grief and indignation into strength, and he blamed everything on Ningyu. That kid is in the Tower of Yuzuan, and he has already reached the 7th level. Chapter 1376. Crisis, the 7th floor of the Transcendence Tower. Cold Steel Pillar squinted his eyes as he stared at the Tower of Yuzuan and said indifferently, To be able to kill Baijan so easily, it means that his martial Tao is heaven-defying. To be able to ascend to the 7th level of the Tower of Yuzuan, it means that his soul energy is extremely powerful. I really want to meet him as soon as possible. I want to see just what kind of god he is. Yang Song was confused by Cold Iron Pillar's words. It seemed that Cold Steel Pillar didn't want to kill that brat, but rather he was interested in his talent. Hee. It won't be that easy for Sect Master Han to meet him soon. At this moment, a faint laughter rang out from the depths of Nebula Academy. Before the person arrived, his voice came first. Not long after, a middle-aged man soared into the sky and landed in front of the Tower of Yuzu. Whoosh! Whoosh! Seeing the middle-aged man, Yang Song and the Frost Metal Pillar moved and descended. If it had been someone else, the Cold Steel Pillar might have continued to float in the air, looking down on the entire Nebula Academy. However, the middle-aged man was not an ordinary elder. He was the vice principal of Nebula Academy, Tang Weigua. Tang Weigua's cultivation was the same as Han Tianju's, a 3rd grade Earth Sovereign. It was so much so that Tang Weigua's overall strength was superior to Han Taiju. After all, aside from being a 3rd grade Earth Sovereign, Tang Weigua was also a 9th grade alchemist. What do you mean? Cold Metal Pillar asked in confusion. Right now, he's on the 7th floor of the Yuzuan Pagoda. He won't be coming out anytime soon. Tang Weigua explained. It's fine, I can wait, Cold Steel Pillar said. Since Headmaster Han wants to wait, our Nebula Academy will naturally not stop you. I just hope that we don't cause too much of a commotion here, otherwise I won't be able to explain it to the headmaster. Tang Weigua brought up the dean, hoping to scare the Frost Iron Pillar. Hee. This is Star Nebula Academy. Even if we have a grudge against that brat, we will absolutely not cause trouble here." Han Taiju laughed. "I hope so." After saying this, Tang Weigua did not say anything else. Since Tang Weigua didn't speak, the other students naturally didn't dare to speak. For a moment, the area in front of the Transcendence Pagoda became so quiet that even the sound of breathing could be heard. "Sect Master, did you invite the higher-ups of Emperor God Palace over?" Although Yang Song did not say anything, he was secretly transmitting his voice to the cold steel pillar. "A 9th grade Earth Supreme has arrived from the Emperor Palace." Han Taiju said faintly, "Bai Zhan's death is only the fuse. The Emperor Palace has long wanted to take action against Nebula Academy." Hearing this, Yang Song was almost dumbfounded. Take action against Nebula Academy. Had the Emperor Divine Palace been kicked in the head by a donkey? In the Thousand Leaf Empire, and even in the Pill Formation continent, everyone knew what it meant to attack a peak 9th grade alchemist. It would be fine if they managed to kill it, but if they failed, the consequences would be unimaginable. Because the appeal of a peak 9th level alchemist was extremely terrifying. Just the slightest rumor would cause many powerful martial artists to flock to him like ducks. Emperor Palace actually wanted to take action against Nebula Academy. In Yang Song's opinion, they were either being kicked in the head by a donkey or being caught in a door. Don't worry, the Emperor Palace won't attack Nebula Academy for no reason. They have been preparing for this operation for several years. Han Taiju said, "Our mission is to attack that brat when he comes out. If the Nebula Academy obstructs us, then we will attack." Will we be suppressed and killed by the experts of Nebula Academy? Yang Song was still a little worried. After all, this was Nebula Academy. It was okay to make a fuss here, but if he really had to take action, he would definitely be afraid. Humph! Nebula Academy can't even take care of themselves. How could they send experts to kill us? Han Taiju snorted. If I'm not wrong, the strongest expert of Nebula Academy should be Tang Weigua. If that's the case, I'm relieved. Although Yang Song said he was relieved, he was actually very worried. At the same time, in a hall in the deepest part of Nebula Academy, Grand Master Xing Yin sat in the main seat, and many experts sat on both sides of him. These experts were all Earth Supreme Masters, and their cultivations ranged from 3rd to 7th grade. It was so much so that there were even 2 to 3 8th grade Earth Sovereigns and 9th grade Earth Sovereigns. It could be said that all the peak experts of Nebula Academy were here. "Everyone, tell me, what should we do now that a strong enemy is coming?" Grand Master Xing Yin sat in the main seat. His face was expressionless as his eyes swept across the crowd. Everyone who was swept by Grand Master Xing Yin's gaze lowered their heads. Although Grand Master Xing Yin's cultivation was only at 7th grade, his soul energy had already reached the pinnacle of 9th grade, and he was only 2 steps away from 10th grade. Even if his soul energy hadn't reached 10th grade, Grand Master Xing Yin could still defeat ordinary 9th grade Earth Sovereigns with his soul energy alone. That goes without saying. We'll fight them to the death. A 9th grade Earth Supreme on the left side of Grandmaster Xing Yin coldly said, "If one comes, we'll kill one. If 2 come, we'll kill both." This 9th grade Earth Supreme was called Kuang Zhan, and he was born to be a battle maniac. Since Kuang Zhan had spoken, the rest chose to keep their mouths shut. In Nebula Academy, Kuang Zhan only listened to Grandmaster Xing Yin's words. He never listened to anyone else. Rumor had it that the reason why Kuang Zhan listened to Grandmaster Xing Yin was because Grandmaster Xing Yin had saved his life. Of course, those were just rumors and couldn't be trusted. Nonsense. Grandmaster Xing Yin's face turned cold. "Kuang Zhan, your mission is to leave with the Yuzuan Pagoda. Go as far as you can, and don't come back without my orders." "No, absolutely not. I want to fight, I want." Kwang Zhan's head shook. You can die, but you can't lose the Yuzuan pagoda. Grandmaster Xing Yun gently knocked on his chair. Hearing Grandmaster Xing Yun's words, Kwang Zhan's heart jolted. All right. Kwang Zhan opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but in the end he only spat out 2 words. I've received news that the Emperor Palace is the main force, with the Jin family as support. There are also several second-rated forces participating. Grandmaster Xing Yun's face turned grave. But don't worry too much. I've already contacted some old friends the moment I received the news. Grandmaster Xing Yun emphasized the word old friends. When everyone in the hall heard Grandmaster Xing Yun's words, they all had expressions of relief on their faces. Those that Grandmaster Xing Yun called old friends were at least at the 8th grade Earth Supreme Realm. There were even rumors that Grandmaster Xing Yun had refined a quasi-10th grade elixir 3 years ago. That elixir was taken away by a Heavenly Supreme, and that Heavenly Supreme owed Grandmaster Xing Yun a favor. Since Grandmaster Xing Yun seemed to be fearless, it meant that the Heavenly Supreme would come to help. Chapter 1377. An outburst in front of the Tower View. Whether it was Cold Steel Pillar, the Vice Dean of Nebula Academy, Tang Weigua, or the many students, everyone's gaze shifted towards the 8th floor of the Tower of Yuzu. For many years, no one had been able to reach the 8th floor of the Tower of Ascension. If someone managed to ascend to the 8th floor of the Tower of Yuzu today, it would be a great event for Nebula Academy and even the Thousand Leaf Empire. Grandmaster Xing Yun had once said that any martial artist who could ascend to the 8th level of the Tower of Ascension would have even greater attainments in alchemy than him. Therefore, every once in a while, genius alchemists would come to challenge the Tower of Transcendence on the vast Dancheng mainland. In front of the Tower of Yu, the crowd held their breaths and did not speak. However, this silence lasted for half an hour before it was finally broken by a scream. Look, the 8th level of the Transcendence Pagoda seems to have lit up. Voila! When these words rang out, all the students in the area went into an uproar. This was because no matter if it was Ningyu or Yao Qiong, as long as they could reach the 8th floor of the Tower of Yuzuan, it would be a terrifying thing. It's really over. Looks like Yao Qiong has ascended to the 8th level of the Tower of Yuzuan. Although I think more highly of that kid, I think that Yao Qiong has indeed entered the 8th level of the Tower of Yuzu first. I think so too. That kid's soul power is rather weak. Reaching the 7th level is already his limit. By now, some of the students who had originally supported Ning Yu had switched sides and supported Yao Qiong. After all, entering the 8th level of the Tower of Yuzuan was a kind of glory. To Nebula Academy, it was an indispensable glory. If this glory was obtained by someone else, it would be a devastating blow to the reputation of Nebula Academy. Have we reached the 8th floor? While almost everyone supported Yao Qiong, there were 2 cultivators who held a different opinion. Or rather, these 2 martial artists were very sure that the one who entered the 8th level of the Pagoda of Yu was not Yao Qiong, but Ningyu, Tang Weigua, Hu Chang. Of the 2 of them, one was the vice principal of Nebula Academy, and the other was an elder. No one knew better than them how difficult it was to reach the 8th level of the Ascension Supremacy Pagoda. Should we inform Master Xing Yun? Hu Chang said in a low voice with a solemn expression. No need. Grandmaster Xing Yun knows what he's doing. Tang Weigua shook his head slowly and said, Our mission is to wait for Yao Qiong here and protect her when she comes out. Protect her safety? Hu Chang was slightly startled, then said, This is Star Nebula Academy. Could it be that there are people who dare to behave atrociously here? Since the establishment of Nebula Academy, no one had ever dared to behave atrociously in Nebula Academy. Even some Earth Supremes would have to be respectful when they entered, not daring to act rashly. Over time, many students and instructors of Nebula Academy had the misconception that no one would make a move against Nebula Academy. The real battlefield is not here. Taking a deep breath, Tang Weigua said, Grandmaster Xingyan will do everything possible to protect the Nebula Academy. However, if Grandmaster Xingyan doesn't have time to spare, we will also fight a bloody battle. Thump! Hu Chang's heart skipped a beat. Was there really someone who dared to behave atrociously in Nebula Academy? The more Hu Chang thought about it, the more he felt that it was possible. With a cold expression, he said in a deep voice, Dean Tang, in my opinion, we should quickly transfer the students. As the saying goes, where there's life, there's hope. Hu Chang was not a pedantic person. After Tang Weigua said a few words, he completely understood. In the past, because of Grandmaster Xingyan's deterrence, many forces did not dare to casually step into Nebula City. However, a month ago, someone spread the news that Grandmaster Xingyan suffered a serious injury when he was trying to break through to the 3rd stage of the 9th grade alchemist. It was because of this that the enemies joined forces to attack Nebula Academy. Those warriors who signed up for the alchemy assessment, Hu Chang frowned and pointed at the warriors who signed up for the assessment outside of Nebula Academy. Should we evacuate them now? No need. The enemy's target is Grandmaster Xingyan and the people of Nebula Academy, not the geniuses who signed up. Tang Weigua shook his head and said, What about the geniuses of Nebula Academy? Hu Chang asked again. Aside from Yao Qiong, everyone else is hiding in the secret chamber of Nebula Academy. As long as there's even the slightest disturbance, they will be transported to every corner of the Pill Formation continent. Tang Weigua was very patient. After all, this concerned the life and death of Nebula Academy. At this time, every Earth sovereign would be of great use to the Nebula Academy. When Yao Qiong comes out of the Yuzuan Pagoda, you'll be responsible for taking her away and moving the remaining students into the death chamber. I'll be responsible for bringing up the rear. After thinking about it, Tang Weigua still felt that they should move the students away. As the saying goes, it's better to be safe than sorry. If those people went crazy and attacked Nebula Academy, the consequences would be unimaginable. But Hu Chang opened his mouth and said, No buts. I'm the vice dean. My words are orders. Tang Weigua said coldly, All right. Helpless, Hu Chang could only nod and said, After I move the students away, I'll immediately come back to kill the enemies with you. Swish. Suddenly, the 7th floor of the Yuzuan Pagoda cracked open, and a figure shot out. It's Yao Qiong. The one on the 7th floor is Yao Qiong. Doesn't that mean that the one on the 8th floor is that brat? How can that brat be so abnormal? He can even reach the 8th floor. Amazing. In my opinion, he should be recruited into Nebula Academy before him. The exclamations of the crowd did not affect Hu Chang. His figure flashed out, and when Yao Qiong fell to the ground, he caught her firmly. Don't say anything. Come with me. Seeing that Yao Qiong was about to speak, Hu Chang hurriedly transmitted his voice. It's not safe here. You need to leave as soon as possible. As he spoke, Hu Chang brought Yao Qiong towards the depths of Nebula Academy. Where do you think you're going? Originally, Cold Steel Pillar would not stop Hu Chang from leaving with Yao Qiong, because his mission was to kill Ningyu and provoke a conflict with Nebula Academy. But just a minute ago, he received an order from the upper echelons of Divine Emperor Palace. Surround Yao Qiong at all costs and ensure that Yao Qiong is killed, because in a minute, the upper echelons of Divine Emperor Palace would arrive at Nebula Academy. Under this premise, if Hu Chang wanted to take Yao Qiong away, Cold Steel Pillar would definitely not stand idly by. With a flash, Cold Steel Pillar turned into a shadow and charged towards Hu Chang at an extremely terrifying speed. You dare! Tang Weigua shouted, clenched his fists and punched at Cold Steel Pillar. You dare to behave atrociously in Nebula Academy? Kill without mercy. Chapter 1378. Sparring. What's going on? Did Cold Metal Pillar eat a bear's heart and leopard's gall to cause trouble in the Nebula Academy? I heard that the Cold Metal sect had joined the Emperor Palace not long ago. Did Cold Metal Pillar get the Emperor Palace's permission to make a move this time? That's possible. The battle between two third-grade Earth sovereigns caused many students to exclaim as they retreated. Most of their cultivations were in the creation realm or low-rank human sovereign realm. Not to mention participating in this battle, they couldn't even withstand the shockwaves from Cold Metal Pillar's battle. TSK. Hu Chang, hand Yao Qiong over to me. I can recommend you to the higher hierarchy of the Emperor Palace and let you become an elder. Yang Song let out a weird laugh as he charged towards Hu Chang. In terms of speed, Hu Chang might be faster than Yang Song. However, Hu Chang was carrying Yao Qiong, so his speed was naturally slower. Soon he was blocked by Yang Song. What's going on? Yao Qiong was depressed. She had just come out of the Yuzuan Pagoda and encountered such a matter, which made her extremely depressed. Let me tell you, the Emperor Palace has joined forces to encircle the Nebula Academy. An arc rose on the corner of Yang Song's lips. If I've guessed correctly, the higher hierarchy of the Emperor Palace should be Russell. Before Yang Song could finish his words, the space above the Nebula Academy suddenly split apart. Russell! Soon after, many cultivators flew out of the void and landed in this area. Crack! Not long after those cultivators descended, the space before the Yuzuan Pagoda slowly split apart, and the group from the Nebula Academy slowly walked out. Haha, Grandmaster Xingyun, how have you been? Seeing the appearance of Grandmaster Xingyun's party, an old man from the Emperor Palace smiled. We would like to invite you to the Emperor Palace. I wonder if we can discuss this? If Ningyi was here, he would definitely find out that he knew the old man who spoke. Pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign of the Emperor Palace, Di Wuba. On either side of Di Wuba stood an old man. The two old men's auras were vigorous, and they seemed to be fusing with the void. Evidently, the two of them were also at the 9th grade Earth Sovereign realm. However, their cultivations were not at the pinnacle of the 9th grade Earth Sovereign realm, but late phase 9th grade Earth Sovereigns. Aside from the two late phase 9th grade Earth Sovereigns, the Emperor Palace had also sent out several 8th grade Earth Sovereigns and 7th grade Earth Sovereigns. It could be said that more than 10% of the experts of the Emperor Divine Palace had gone to Nebula Academy. Why are you talking so much nonsense? If you want to fight, let's fight. Before Grandmaster Xingyun could speak, Mad Warrior stepped out from behind him and said coldly, "Those who are afraid of death are cowards." Berserker, 9th grade middle phase Earth Sovereign. Di Wuba said indifferently, I heard that Nebula Academy's Berserker likes to fight. How about this? Let the two from our Emperor Palace spar with you first. Whoosh! Whoosh! As Di Wuba's voice rang out, the two old men beside him took a step forward with disdain in their eyes. Who's afraid of you? Berserker was born to be arrogant. How could he tolerate being provoked by two old men? Although the other party was a late phase 9th grade Earth Sovereign, Berserker was fearless. He took a step forward and said proudly, Di Wuba, if I kill these two old men, are you going to retreat? Berserker might be brainless when it came to a draw, but he was very quick-witted at the crucial moment. Before coming out, Grandmaster Xingyun had told Berserker that his old friend hadn't arrived yet. It wasn't appropriate for him to fall out with the people from the Emperor Palace for the time being. Ha ha ha, we'll talk after you win. Di Wuba didn't agree or disagree. He looked at the two late phase 9th grade Earth Sovereigns and said, Spar with Berserker. Don't bring shame to the name of the Emperor Palace. Whoosh! Whoosh! Hearing Di Wuba's words, the two late phase 9th grade Earth Sovereigns instantly charged towards Berserker from the left and right. The two old men were called Dihei and Dibai. Although they were only late-phase 9th grade Earth sovereigns, they could exchange a few moves with a pinnacle 9th grade Earth sovereign when they joined forces. Rumble. In an instant, Berserker and Dihei clashed. Uft. As soon as they clashed, Berserker was sent flying and spurted out a mouthful of blood. Master Xingyan, this Berserker doesn't seem to be good enough. Di Wuba raised the corner of his mouth and said to Master Xingyan, I heard that Berserker is a battle maniac, but it seems that he doesn't live up to his name. We won't be able to determine the victor until the last moment. Master Xingyan's expression didn't change. No one could tell if he was happy or angry. Then let's see how long Berserker can last. Di Wuba shrugged. Rumble. In mid-air, Berserker fought 1 against 2. As the battle progressed, what Di Wuba had expected didn't happen. After being at a disadvantage in the beginning, Berserker became more and more courageous as the battle progressed, gradually suppressing Dihei and Dibai. This situation made Di Wuba's face turn ugly. Just a moment ago, he was mocking Berserker for being weak. Now he was slapping him in the face. Grand Elder were stronger than them. Why aren't we taking the initiative? An 8th grade Earth sovereign beside Di Wuba knitted his brows and said, Nebula Academy doesn't have any defenses. If we attack now, we can definitely take that thing. Nonsense. Di Wuba rebuked. Without a pinnacle 9th grade alchemist, do you think we can take that thing away? You better behave yourself. Our mission is to stall Master Xingyan and Dibai so that they can't take the Tower of Ascension away. The 8th grade Earth Sovereign's heart skipped a beat, and he immediately asked, Could it be that the thing is in the Tower of Ascension? Don't ask what you shouldn't ask. Di Wuba said coldly, Keep a close eye on the Tower of Yuzuan. Don't let anything happen to it. Grand Elder, the 8th floor of the Tower of Ascension has lit up. There's someone inside. The 8th grade Earth Sovereign was like a chatterbox. That's troublesome. Rolling his eyes, Di Wuba turned around and said to Grandmaster Xingyan, Grandmaster Xingyan, Dihei, and the others are currently sparring with Crazy Battle in the Martial Dao. In my opinion, they should also be sparring in the Alchemy Dao. How are we sparring? Master Xingyan asked. Simple. We have 2 peerless geniuses in the Alchemy Dao with pinnacle 8th grade soul energy. Why don't we let them enter the Tower of Ascension and see which floor they can reach? Di Wuba said. Hearing Di Wuba's words, Master Xingyan fell into deep thought. A brief moment later, Master Xingyan's voice resounded. That's a good idea. I've decided to open the Tower of Ascension for everyone to enter. Russell. Master Xingyan's words caused Di Wuba's face to change. Di Wuba knew that Master Xingyan had sealed the entrance of the Tower of Ascension to only allow those beneath the Earth Sovereign realm to enter. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.